Word to the wise, we are an explicit podcast content with adult themes as well as entering spoiler territory. If you aren't caught up with us this week, that is through The Howling Dark by Christopher Rocchio, only through The Howling Dark. And we'll be chatting about that. Hey there, this is Cross.
This is Josh.
And we are Words and Whiskey, a podcast for veteran and novice readers alike. We tackle fiction novels and love to talk about what we're drinking. You should think of us as your intoxicating weekly book club. Josh, you've moved.
Yeah, it's different. It's not the same.
You did
it's
forget
not the same
your
as it
mic.
was.
Yeah.
I know. I got my mic.
Oh, you're right.
I have my mic. I have my interface. I have my HDMI to hook up my laptop to the TV. I have my mic stand. I have my mic. What's that thing called that it balances in to make sure that it's it's not going to pick up noise if it gets bumped. Stabilizer. I've got my Logitech Brio. I've got my Bluetooth mouse and keyboard. I've got my headphone extender. I've got my adapter to make sure that my headphones can plug into my interface. I've got my lightning cable for my interface to my laptop. I've got my adapter to make sure that the laptop can hook up to the HDMI with this model. I've got it all. I made sure I got everything for this episode because I knew it was an important one, and I wasn't going to let a little move of apartments fuck that up.
Well, while you may be missing something, we do have a wonderful guest here of whom we've brought on. Whom is
I just didn't bring my XLR. One cable, maybe the most important cable, but one cable. All right, yeah, we have a guest.
Yeah. So, well, you may have brought everything I brought, Nick, onto the podcast. It's great to have you, Nick. Obviously, we're talking and wrapping up Howling Dark. To give a little rundown on you, of course, Nick Kimball, a self-described writer and a metalhead, also the host of the Unlocked Tomb podcast, which is a great time, highly recommend. Series, it's called, the podcast is called The Unlocked Tomb. The series is called The Locked Tomb. I always in my brain, I messed that up. I think I messed it up a couple of times on the show talking about you coming on.
It's all good.
By Tamsin Muir, and is currently wrapping up its second season. They also conduct author interviews during a series of bonus episodes called Tomb Talks, including an episode or two, right, with Christopher himself, which is a great little listen. I've listened to both of them. You're also an avid reader with great taste and an MFA wielding motherfucker. Glad to finally have you on the show because this has literally been you've been talking to the podcast since 2020 when we started.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming. Some would say too long. Really happy to be here. Huge fan of the show. Huge fan of these books. I got to say, it is weird because, I know that Josh is a D&D player and I know Cross is a D&D player. And I'm not sure if you both are typically the DM in your D&D games.
We are.
But this is a lot like, I'm generally the DM for our games. I've been a player one
of course
time. So this feels like, always a DM to the player. This is usually I'm hosting the podcast, but now I'm a guest. This is kind of nice. I get to kind of just get back a little bit.
Yeah.
Are you going to do the thing that all forever DMs do whenever they finally get to be a player and just be so unhinged?
So unhinged. I'm just a Skull Knight from Berserk.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, excellent. Well, because this is a wrap up, I can't wait to talk about the book. Of course, I'm very excited for us to do all of that. But first, we start with our little cocktail segment here. So I'll talk about what I made. I haven't put the ingredients in the document yet, but I don't know what to call this, but it's wonderful. 1 ounce of Campari, 2 ounces of gin, 2 ounces of grapefruit juice, little ginger beer topper. We'll just call it the Half Mortal straight up. It's so good.
The Half Mortal straight up is a good name, and that has to be the whole thing.
Or it could be, it's also got the skull. It's my skull glass, so I'm imagining Hadrian losing his head.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Josh, what are you having? Nick,
Chris? Shit.
Chris is the book.
Yeah, Chris wrote
the book. Nick, man, it's been a day. Nick, you want to go, or because I don't got much to show.
So I've been saving this bottle specifically for this episode. I had a bottle of Whistle Pig that I wanted to open for this interview, So I did that. So smoked old fashioned, just 2 ounces of high quality bourbon and whiskey, 1 sugar cube, 2 dashes of bitters, an orange peel, and then use a cocktail smoker to fill the glass with, which I actually pulled off in my kitchen about 45 minutes ago, and it actually worked out. So I was gonna call Polino's old fashioned, but then based on your last episode, I didn't realize there was a euphemism with Polino's name on this podcast, and so I'm just gonna stick with the smoked old fashioned.
Which euphemism did we use?
It involved one eye.
It involved.
I'm just gonna start calling it a Polino.
Right.
My little Polino. Yeah.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
It's all right. Mild spoilers for books 3 because we have started reading.
It was a great bit.
He might get an eye again. I don't know, but
yeah, the mildest of spoilers.
Yeah,
it's just Jesus. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so sometimes the back half, our listeners know more about than us.
That's the best. I love the back half.
Well, yeah, it's true. The funny thing is, I was talking a little bit with Nick. It's true. I was talking a little bit with Nick before we got started here, and I had mentioned that like when we recorded those episodes, it was like a 6.5 hour episode when we recorded those, and I was like, yeah, but they only ended up being like 2 hours and 10 minutes because we had so many goddamn side tangents.
Yeah, but we got like a whole nother episode out of it, right?
Yeah, right. We literally like we had a devil's cut and then another devil's cut, even though we only recorded one.
So, that's wild.
Yeah, it was. It's a good time.
That was rough.
Yeah. Speaking of rough, Josh, what are you drinking?
Yeah, so what I have in my apartment is Trader Joe's Pan Am rum.
Hell
so we're
yeah.
drinking Trader Joe's Pan Am rum.
just straight up, just going for it.
Yep, you got the half mortal straight up. I got the Trader Joe's Pan Am straight up. Nick's rocking the Polino straight up.
Love it.
That one.
Yeah, it's. I certainly plan to have more done by now, but here we are.
Listen, moving sucks.
And so does Hadrian, but I love these books. Let's jump in.
That's a good way to kick it off. Yeah, so I'd love to just start with like, Nick, your introduction to the series, your feelings about this book, and then we'll kind of circle around Josh and otherwise, and talk a little bit about our total feelings on it.
Hell yeah. So Howling Dark is my favorite of the series so far. I've read them all except the last book. I'm kind of like savoring it. I'm really weird about final books in big series when I know a lot of people are reading them at the same time. I kind of like to read it in my own little vacuum and not be influenced. It's the reason why I haven't read Wind and Truth yet, because like everyone in my social sphere was reading it and like either just loving it or hating it. I'm like, I don't want any influence. I was reading these by myself and I want to go out that way. Different from the middle books, but the final book, I kind of want it to be like, I want to light a candle, make it romantic,
Yeah, right.
I totally get that. I still haven't finished Wheel of Time. I got all the way up to Memory of Light and just didn't do it.
Perfect. Same. I'm like that. I'm on Knife of Dreams, I think, because the last one before he passed.
Yeah.
Howling Dark, favorite of the series still. They're all great, but this is still to this day my favorite. And my introduction to the series, I'm not even sure like really what came first. Like I want to say, I know I read Red Rising first and I was like on the hunt for something similar. And it all came about this is back when I had a YouTube channel, which I think you mentioned on the episode, like, oh, Nick from Wicked Good Books. I'm like, oh man, crosses doxing me.
So old school.
Like,
yeah.
I don't make videos anymore. I mean, the channel is still up. If you want to watch really lame TBR videos from like 2022, go for it. But
hell yeah,
my community at that time, which still exists on Discord, was going nuts about not being able to obtain the hardcovers of the series because there's lots of back and forth between, Rockio going from Da to Bane and Bane to Da and all that good news. So I like joined in the conversation, kind of wanted to learn about it. And once I learned what the first book was about, I checked that out. I love Dune. I love Red Rising. You love me a good space opera. So got into it. Liked the first book well enough. Could tell there was room for more. Got to the second book and it just had all my favorite things. Like if I had a checklist of things I look for in dark sci-fi, it just smacked every single one of them. So as far as like my relationship with this book goes, like I talked to Chris a little bit. We interviewed him once on Wicked Good Books, and I transferred that interview over to the podcast because I don't want to lose, It's a great conversation, I felt. And then the second time we talked to him was more about Disquiet Gods. So I do want to at some point have him on to talk about Howling Dark, because my first interview, I hadn't read it yet. So I was like, kind of geeking out. Actually, I was like halfway through it, and I was making references to him like, oh, did you mean for this thing in Howling Dark to be kind of like this thing? And he's like, I've never watched Evangelion, or I've never watched Raised by Wolves. I was like, really? So it was really like a surreal moment for me. But kind of going back to your question, love Howling Dark. It means a lot to me for so many different reasons. It brought in themes that I didn't think Sun Eater was going to explore. There's also queerness in this book specifically that I really appreciated. There's a lot of like non-linear storytelling, unreliable narrative storytelling, and also the world kind of like expands where you think it's going to be a typical space opera, like similar to Star Wars, and this kind of shifts and gets into like metaphysical stuff and like weird science and weird AI and secret fortresses underground and transhumanism, and those are all the things I just like eat up. Like at the time of me reading this book, I was deep into Memory Called Empire by Arcade Martin, which is one of my favorite books of all time. And there were so many odd parallels that are not intentional. It just happened to be. You ever read like a succession of books back to back, and you don't mean to do it the way you do, but they all have a similar theme or vibe, and it almost looks like you planned it that way. That's sort of how it felt when I was reading Howling Dark, and it was like right time, right book. It's still my favorite in the series, and I'm pretty stoked to talk about with you guys.
Hell yeah. That's a great rundown. I do think, Nick, that you were one of the 3 people that influenced me to read it.
Oh hell yeah!
We had a first we had a listener reach out to us in like 2020 and recommend us to read the series, or 2021 or something like that, on Twitter to read the series, and that was the first time I'd ever heard of it. I kind of clocked it, and I put Empire of Silence on like a TBR to be read eventually. And then kind of forgot about it. And then between you and I think Leanna's library posting videos about it, and like just talking about it on Instagram in particular for you, I think you were maybe even into Kingdoms of Death, and it was that cover that I went like, oh, okay.
Such a good cover. It's such a good book.
But it was around the same time. I was a little bit after you. I basically followed, maybe like, I don't know, 6 to 8 months after.
Mm-hmm. And you're a fan of this, Troy. You've read them all?
I've read them all. I finished it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm done.
I've read this far.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if you had finished the last book, and now I'm thinking about it. I remember you finished it, but I need to get. Yes. I almost got it the other day. It was
because I asked if you would finish it, and you're like, no, I don't even have it. And I was like, what?
No, like I was gonna pre-order it, and then I was gonna buy. What I try to do is I like to get it from Chris if I can, like from his store. It's in North Carolina. I can't remember.
Quail Ridge.
Yes. Yep. I try to pre-order from there because I love giving to small bookstores when I can. Especially right now. # fuck Barnes and Nobles for even talking about selling AI books. Right. You can cut this, but just like, oof.
Nah. That's 100% in.
And so when I came put money into small bookstores, I tried to. Awesome. I have a Books A Million one, and I'm like, I swear to God, if they.
Honestly, just recently, Joe Abercrombie, shout out First Law, was just in San Diego doing a book signing. And I didn't know about this store before then, but that's just the coolest local bookstore called Mysterious Galaxy. It's all fantasy, sci-fi, horror, romance. It's all just, and it's all indie authors. And then like they have the major stuff as well, but super big showing of indie authors, local indie authors too, very much so, heavily featured. And big fuck you to AI things all over the store. And I was like, okay, I never need to go to a Barnes & Noble again.
I got all I need right here.
Right here, Mysterious Galaxy. If you're ever in SoCal, check it out. San Diego specifically. It's one store. But sorry, I just had to go on the rant. I was like,
it's great.
Please, if we're talking bookstores, AI, fuck the man. Like, I got a plug for you.
Yeah, it's like listen. Everyone's budgets are different. Everyone's financial situation is different. Like, get it where you can. I always like to look at it if I have to buy a book at Target because it's on super sale, or if it's at Barnes & Nobles or Walmart or Amazon. I try not to go to those places unless I absolutely have to for whatever reason, whether it's time, cost, whatever. But I like to think of it as like I'm rescuing them from captivity when they're like that. Yeah. There's this used bookstore that I go to all the time where I sell a lot of my excess books. Well, I shouldn't say sell. I trade them in for credit. And it's like a super, like, very religious hoity-toity place that I'm not a huge fan of, but they give good
You're in
credits
Florida,
back.
we get it.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough down here, guys. It's real rough. It's as bad as it sounds or looks. And I saw Shadows Upon Time there last week. I almost bought it, but it was used. I'm like, if I'm gonna get it, I want the money to go to Chris in some way. I know it's not like going directly into his pocket, but I would like it to.
It supports Quail Ridge, and Quail Ridge is awesome. That is like I've been there twice now, and it is just one of the most beautiful bookstores I've ever been into. It is fucking gorgeous. It's so cool. It's like two floors. It's I
love that.
It's very.
And if you got the used one from that bookstore, it was probably going to be redacted by Christian Moms Against Sci-Fi.
1,000%.
Yeah, there were going to be like 4 readable words in there.
I'm shocked that I've gotten as much Clive Barker as I've gotten from that store.
Yeah. Hey, my Clive Barker made it, and my
it's that one closeted uncle that's just like, I love this book. I have to give it up though, and they don't actually look inside of it.
Right.
My Clive Barker made it in the move.
Hell yeah.
Your Mr. Be Gone? Yeah.
My Mr. Be Gone. And I forget the name of the book because I haven't actually read it, but I have it. The first one of The Locked Tomb has made it here.
Oh, Gideon.
Gideon the Ninth is here.
Hell yeah.
Perfect. Mr. Be Gone right there. Beautiful.
Mr. Be Gone and my Magica, my French edition of Magica. It's like my most prized.
Incredible.
In case of fire, what books will I grab? It's like volume 1 of Berserk, a Magica, and the Locked Tomb books.
Yeah, it's me and my Thief of Always. I've got on the shelf. It's always, and it has been my whole life. It is the book closest to the door, and I've always kept it there, and it is always there. Actually, I think right now is the only time that it isn't there. Every time when I start recording, I have 2 books that I swap, and I put it on this shelf behind me because I want it in frame when I can make it in frame. So, anyway, to the point. So with you, Howling Dark means a lot to me. This was the book that like really opened up the series for me and went from like, oh, okay, this is pretty good to like, oh no, this did the Golden Sun thing where it opened my mind to what this could be.
1,000%.
And in such a way where like I was like, okay, now we've made something. That I got my like. This was also the book where I like I took the bridge, and usually I'm like, Dad, this is going to be something you're going to want to read. And he was like, okay. And then he did, and he's currently on Shadows Upon Time, and he's like, this might be the best series you've ever recommended me.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then he just read The Devils, and now he's like, well, actually, this might actually be the best thing you've given to me.
That's amazing. I have not read The Devils yet. I just got my copy.
Well, listen to it, but woo, it is.
Yeah. I think mine. I have a friend, Leah. Jesus Christ. The book Mad Librarian from Ireland. She gave me her copy from Ireland.
Yeah,
and,
the UK.
And it was signed, which made me super happy. And I have not read it yet, but it's on. I started my year with, I was telling Cross earlier, Between Two Fires. And my goal, if I can hold off, is going to be December. Is going to be The Devils.
Cool.
So can't recommend enough. Lovely book. I just got mine signed at that event. Very excited. Very happy.
So sick.
Sorry, Cross.
Howling Dark. No, Howling Dark 2. That was it.
Okay.
Hell yeah. What about you, Josh? What was your experience with Howling Dark coming into it, having
and also your second book in this reading experience for the record too?
I have a lot of thoughts.
I gathered from the last episode.
Yeah. How would I? One thing that I want to know. It's interesting, Cross, that you were saying this does like the Golden something, because I totally agree, and it got me thinking recently. If I have a single book series where I liked the first one the most, I'm struggling with it.
Shit.
And I realized for me, and this is going to be such a fucking, nobody will agree with me. This is my Crossland take. I do like Way of Kings the most.
Oh, I 100% like Way of Kings.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
For most people, it's Words of Radiance or Oathbringer. For me, it's Way of Kings. Very much so. That is just like, I really love that book, and then I really, really, really like the next 2, and then I enjoy the rest of it as it is happening. I'm like, we're doing this, and I'm having a good time. And but I don't have like a huge I've reread the Way of Kings and Words of Radiance. I don't have like a huge desire to reread the others.
Have you done the graphic audio for those?
Not the graphic audio, no. And I'm sure I would enjoy it.
It's pretty cool. It's a little jarring at first, but it's pretty cool. Hearing the sound of what Sprens or the spheres sound like.
That's fun.
Like, just to be a fly on the wall as someone went to school for film, like how that conversation happened. I don't know how much involvement Brandon has with it, but there's a
Super
scene
cool.
in Words of Radiance, spoilers, Words of Radiance. It's the prologue when Yasna like falls through the wall and falls into the ocean of spheres.
Yeah.
And like the sound, it's like ASMR. It's like, oh, beads.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I will definitely check that out because also like I'm an audio engineer, audio designer, so like, that type of stuff just makes me so excited. But not to get too lost in the train of thought of other books, we're gonna do enough of that, I'm sure, as we already have. But yeah, it did get me thinking. Like, wow, I do tend to like the second book.
Empire Strikes Back vibes, right?
A lot of times.
Nice.
I mean, yeah, this one's no exception. Like, I enjoyed the first book. I like to clown on Hadrian because I dislike Hadrian as a person, but I don't dislike Hadrian as a character, and I really like these books.
It's totally fair, and to a degree, I think you're supposed to.
You're supposed to. I feel like and I could be wrong here, but I do feel like there's almost an implication where you're supposed to be annoyed by Hadrian in the beginning, but you're supposed to not realize you're supposed to dislike him until later. But just from the get go, I was like, nah, fuck this guy.
Fuck this guy. But, he's got some development, so I'm excited to see where it goes.
I'm very excited to see where he goes. In this book, he got a lot of development. It made me
literally.
It made me less annoyed by him, but like morally dislike him more, I think.
Oh, interesting.
So, and I feel like that's just going to be the trajectory. He's going to get cooler and worse.
That's pretty accurate, I think, actually. We can generally say without any spoilers that cooler and worse
it feels
is
like
pretty close.
The way that it's going to go is cooler and worse. It's like watching Breaking Bad. Not Breaking Brad. That's different. Don't look it up.
Breaking Bread. Don't look that up.
Oh boy, yeah.
I've had an opposite experience in comparing Hadrian to Darrow, where it's like the more books that have gone by, especially by Lightbringer.
Darrow kind of gets less cool and more annoying, but also a better character as well.
And kind of a better person, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Was Hadrian, I'm not going to say better or worse, but he definitely
I don't know about less cool, but there's something so sick about a Darrow that doesn't think he can die versus a Darrow that like has a family.
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry, more spoilers here. We should have said that beforehand. Hey, spoilers for Red Rising. If you're watching the show,
light spoilers. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that Darrow gets a little. Darrow starts like in just like aura farming era, and then he becomes like a person with morals and a backbone who regrets his decisions, but also understands why he did them and has to live with the consequences and is willing to accept them. Whereas Hadrian starts as a rich kid, silver spoon bitch, and just.
Silver spoon bitch
spends the rest of his time thinking he's chosen to save the world, and maybe he fucking is, but he's out here like, oh, I'm so much better than the fucking Chantry. I'm not an Empire boy. And then at the end of this book, they're like, you're gonna meet the Emperor. He's like, Daddy.
Right. He's immediately like, well, that's kind of cool, actually. I kind of love that idea.
Hadrian is such an Empire boy through. He's okay. Does anybody do you guys watch White Lotus at all?
Yeah, I do not, but my sister does. She loves it. She's been begging.
Crosslyn, have you seen season 3?
I've seen everything multiple times.
Okay,
it's one of my favorite shows.
Spoilers for White Lotus. Hadrian is the girl child of the rich family.
You say no more. Yes.
Yeah, who is like, I'm going to go be a monk. I can live different. And then goes there and is like, I can't do it.
This is terrible. Yeah, exactly.
I would rather die than live as a poor person. Yeah.
For sure. Knowing how much Berserk influenced Sun Eater, just both like by reading, especially later books, but just by talking to Chris and knowing what he likes. And I should have known because my first interview with him, I was, in book 2, and like he mentioned that like, oh, there's lots of Berserk influence coming up, and I was like, oh, that's awesome, and didn't like click like red flag. But knowing that, I think he was actually drinking out of like a stein that had like the mark on it too.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Is the Berserk influence that Hadrian almost fucks a monster
pretty much
away? Okay, cool.
So a giant squid monster under the water.
Well, also the Ahmad, and the Ahmad. Yeah, well, did it almost definitely did. Oral counts.
But I feel like Guts and Griffith is smashed together is kind of what Hadrian is, because he has like the pompous noblemen of Griffith and being part of and wanting to be part of this high society. And then he has like this grit, sad boy melodramaticness of Guts with a tragic backstory. And I feel like there's a lot there. Plus, like leading the company, the Red Company, having up his misfits. There's definitely some crossover there. Did you feel like, so for me, reading book 1, going into book 2, I know you're both gamers. Have you played Skyrim or Zelda?
Of course.
Breath of the Wild?
Too many
Classic.
hours. Yeah.
So, and this is not like exclusive to these 2 games, but a lot of games do this. But the opening tutorial, you're just like, oh, cool, I'm in a dungeon, and now I'm inside of like a castle that's being bombed by this dragon. This is really cool. And then I got to go underground and escape the fire from the dragon, and then I go through this cave, and then it opens up to like the rest of the map, and the game's on purpose.
And then one guy's like, "Stick with me, prisoner, if you want to stay that way."
Yeah,
for sure.
And you go into like this field, and the game like literally opens up to you, and it's like, oh,
That's
this is an
Howling
open world game. That's how Howling Dark felt for me. Was like,
I totally agree.
which is how Golden Sun was too.
Very much so. It really expands the world in a sick way. And something that you were talking about, Nick, is like it brings in the weird, right?
Yes.
Like everything. My favorite part of Empire of Silence is definitely just Caliga, because it's the weirdest part of that book.
For sure.
And I'm not typically a fantasy guy, or I'm a sci-fi guy. I am typically a fantasy guy more than a sci-fi guy, because I like the weird, I like the unknown, I like exploring the world outside of ours, not a world that's like kind of trying to fit itself within our parameters.
For sure.
Hey, it's in the future, so don't think that hard about it. I think that there's a lot in Howling Dark that expands out into like sci fantasy. Like it moves so far out of just like we're doing sci-fi with a little bit of mysticism to like, this is some crazy shit. Anything could happen. We're like, and it's weird because in the sci-fi of it all, it almost follows physics more than most sci-fi I read. But it's willing to be like, and then also fantasy, straight up fantasy.
Straight up fantasy.
Wizards.
Wizards.
Why not?
Space
Bring
wizards.
them in. Yeah, exactly. So, and I love that. It's like, and that's where I feel like it has, a lot of people compare this to Red Rising, and I don't think it has much in common with Red Rising, but I do feel like it has a lot in common with Dune, and it feels more Dune-ish, which Dune's not something like I've dove that deep into the books. Love the movies. But
I've read them all, but
I'm I'm aware enough of Dune, and I've read the first half of the first one 3 or 4 times. I'm sure I'll get through it one day.
Nice.
But
you got Romans in space, so it's a really easy parallel with Red Rising, right?
Exactly, and I see why people compare it.
Yeah,
but like the flow of the book, the way of the book, like the approach of storytelling is so different. It's Romans in space, yes, but like at the end of the day, I don't know. Like the Lord of the Rings and like The Prince and the Pauper are very different books, but there's similarities in theme there. All that to say, neither of these are The Prince and the Pauper or The Lord of the Rings. They're their own things. But I love that it brought in the weird. The science gets weirder, and there's actually a poem that, because Christopher Rocchio loves to bring in these kind of poetic elements that I really like. So I pulled it up. There's a poem that I really like that I think might have been involved.
Yeah, sure.
So it's from my heart and from my hand. Why don't people understand my intentions? Weird. Ooh, weird science. Plastic tubes and pots and pans. Bits and pieces. And the magic from the hand. We're making weird science. Ooh.
I love a little Oingo Boingo. I'm a massive Oingo Boingo fan.
Mr.
The moment you started.
I believe
is that Old Testament or
Daniel? Yeah, it's from the book of Daniel Elfman, I believe.
And his brother, actually.
And his brother.
Yeah. This was not Knights era, but it was post Knights. You could call this a crusade. The crusade of Oingo Boingo. And certainly this book oingoed and I really liked it. No, actually, Weird Science kind of like sums up Karn Sagara, I think, but
yeah, legit.
Plastic tubes and pots and pans, bits and pieces, and magic from the hand. If that's not Karn Sagara, I don't know what is. I think Christopher Rocchio was like, yeah, this has some Berserk influence. He was just listening to Weird Science. He was just watching Weird Science, and he's like,
it was on in the background while he was reading
what
Berserk.
if Anakin was in Weird Science?
For sure.
No, but all jokes aside, this book rips. It opens up with robot zombies and a guy controlling them with his brain who can change his face. We get fucking, which I did not expect from the series ever, actually.
It starts out very cyberpunky, like, right? You were saying earlier about like sci-fi and being more drawn to sci fantasy, right? So you got Red Rising, which is sci fantasy, but it's still
sci fantasy for sure.
It's soul. Right?
It's sci fantasy that wants to pretend to be grounded.
Yeah, you know, it's like kind of Star Trekky in a sense that's our world, and we've terraformed. I mean, there's no aliens in Red Rising,
and this one has that too, but it's so far beyond that.
It's like Mass Effect in a sense. That's like
Mass Effect is what I draw the most parallels to this.
100%.
The media that I am.
But then this book starts off with like this cyberpunk vibe where you're like, wait, we're like in the streets and we're chasing down this like
and it's
cyborg
destruction of the gardens. Yeah.
Honestly, like if I didn't know better, I would be suspicious that Christopher Rocchio got like an action Ghost Rider. Yeah. If I just jumped from that book to this book, because the action's so different and it's so good and it's so elevated. Like it puts you in it in a way that I feel like Empire never really did.
Yeah.
From the get-go, I was like, oh, this is going to be an exciting book. Empire was a great book. This is going to be an exciting book.
Well, he wrote it when he was so young, too. It's very similar to like Gunslinger and King, right?
Oh,
King
for sure.
19.
Or even if you think about like the first series of Red Rising versus the second series of Red Rising, like it's so different. But
huge jumps,
based on age. But just this book really jumps in and like delivers from the get-go and then never really lets off the pedal. But it's still, and not but in a bad way, but in like a asterisk, it is still a Sun Eater book, which means it doesn't let off the gas except for whenever it goes on weird poetic tangents about melodrama and the world, which in the first book, half the time it was really cool and was like such a great moment to really explore the space, and half the time I was like, and we're talking again. In this book, I feel like it's used so much better. It's where it breaks up this unrelenting action to really like explore why that action matters, and it's just done in such a cool way that excites me so much more for the rest of the series, because I feel like this elevates everything done in the first book to such a cool degree.
Yeah, it really shows that like Rocchio really found a sense of voice, more or less. Like he very clearly had a voice originally, but he found how to wield it properly, right? Like you know, sort of orator is your sword, you asshole. Like in reverse, you got to take it. I just find that like he does such a good job with that, and that's part of the reason that the series attracts me so much. You know, it's not one in which I would say, a lot of people are like, is it a character story? Is it a plot story? And those are generally like where things stop for a lot of people's like critical analysis on the top level of like, what type of story is this? And I'm like, this is an esoteric evaluation of humanity wrapped in a character, one character that we're presented through the lens of, that we're not supposed to like, but that he wants you to like him. And that's like a difficult thing to parse. And I think
we are...
several layers of the onion deep, right? Yeah, we are fully
deeply
Shrek-onioned.
Shrekened, if you will.
The Shrekening.
We've been Shrekened.
It's totally true. Though it's not as simple as good versus evil and Sun Eater. You got Hadrian, who I love the position that Rocchio takes with him. Is I have a character who's just kind of like spoiled, you know, silver spoon, but smart.
Yeah.
Yes, but his whole thing is, I want peace, and I'm gonna be the one that makes this evil, terrible alien race like come to terms, and I'm gonna be like the peacekeeper. And I love that this book specifically like breaks that hubris in half. Like he sees it firsthand. He kind of saw it in the first book, but this one is more like him coming to terms with, is that even possible? And that kind of like brings all kinds of interesting themes to explore. So it's so much deeper than just, you know, good guys versus bad guys, Jedis versus Sith. It's
right.
More complicated than that. This book really complicates things. And
even like just the basic layer of like plot or character, right? Like, what are we doing here? Or why am I intrigued by this book? This is like, this is what we read for, is to find other works that encourage us or pull us in other directions. I did want to point out one of the things that I also really like about this whole sequence with Hadrian in particular is, and I totally want to get into other characters like Karn and people that are down the line that are very interesting too. But there is this sort of like central like ship of Theseus question, and you mentioned obviously like the big change of this book, I always find it fascinating that like his change also corresponds with when he died, and there's this core question of like the experience of dying being like an element of change, or is it the experience of rebirth that changed him? And then there's like this general kind of theme that's over top of this initially here in this book of like this sort of like baptism as his head is sliced off and like lands in the water and floats away and everything else, you know, there's
in front of all his friends.
Yeah, right, in front of all of his friends, and sort of like that kind of like larger question of like, who is Hadrian now, and is it okay that maybe he changed because of the reality of what happened to him, or did he change because of the nature of what changed him and brought him back? You know, like there's
is he the same Hadrian?
Right.
And what does that mean for the
right,
you know, future Hadrian narrating the whole thing? Is it even the same guy we started with, Ship of Theseus, right?
So yeah, right. How many layers removed are we now? You know, like how many Hadrians?
Exactly, which is not a path I thought this series was going to go down, getting into timey-wimey stuff, getting into parallel universes. So it was like a complete shock to me going into it. And, you know, I hadn't had a lot of friends at the time that were reading it. So like I really did go in blind, tainted or spoiled by anybody. So it was a pleasant surprise. Unpleaned, 100%. Something that's special about this book to me, I know you're going to talk about characters too, but the structure of the narrative of this book too is so strange, and kind of like what you were saying earlier about like his writing style improving and things being like the action being so well done and the yapping being really well done and utilized not just to like, oh, this is the scene where we're going to get in some philosophical back and forth, or here's Hadrian talking again. I like that there are moments in this book that are on purpose long and drawn out to make you, the reader, feel kind of like not necessarily bored, but like when Valka and Hadrian are stuck for like months. Bring that part up, it reminds me, in Bone Hunters by Steven Erikson, it's like books 5 or 6 of Malice and Jesus, words like come from me. In that book, without giving spoilers away, something happens and it's a long night in a very uncomfortable place, and a lot of people very claustrophobic making their way through this horrible event. And the chapter is like 200 plus pages. It might even be more. It's like a ridiculously long, like you get to the audiobook and you're like 4 hours for one chapter. That makes no sense. And it's true. And he did it on purpose because you wanted the reader to feel claustrophobic and like annoyed.
Like he couldn't get out like of you're this stuck chapter.
And this is like a much smaller version of that. But when Valka and Hadrian are stuck in there, I was like, man, they really are going to be in here for months. Like this is the DMV. They are stuck in this room for a long ass time. But then once I got over the frustration of it, not as like from a narrative standpoint, but like me, the reader, like physically reading it, I was like, ooh, now these characters are forced to spend time with each other and like actually get to know each other more than just like verb dialogue, which is like something we talk about on my show a lot. Like books that have a lot of verb scenes, movies do it too. You know, there's nothing wrong with a good action movie, but sometimes with action movies and action books, it's very verby in a sense that's like, we got to go here. Why? The thing is there. Okay, let's go. We're on our way. We're going to the thing. We're here. It's not here. Where did it go? It's down the street. All right, let's go. And there's no room for, character development here. And I feel like Rocky really utilizes form, which shows his growth as a writer.
I love Sucker Punch, but Sinners was the best movie I've seen in a long time.
Exactly.
I was reminded recently as I'm going through my stuff to move that I actually have a movie theater Sucker Punch poster that I was given.
Oh my God.
I'll take a photo of it and send it to you guys afterwards. I found it and I was like, oh shit, it's still in the frame. Because it was
I don't like Snyder's DC, but that doesn't mean I don't like some of his movies.
I don't know. I'm allowed to enjoy them. Yeah, right. There's
watching Snyder's like ripping a joint, drinking whiskey, and getting in the bathtub. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You don't have to remember it or care later. It's just like it's a good time while you're there.
A good time.
Josh, I feel like you had a commitment on some of those thoughts that you wanted to hop in with.
There were a couple, and we're here and we're there and there and here. But I do feel like this book really did do a good job of kind of keeping you in the space of the characters with the way how like certain scenes are drawn out. However, I was gonna say, it's weird for me, like the scenes where we found ourselves like locked away with Hadrian and Valka were almost some of the most engaging scenes for me in the book.
Yeah, right.
And I think that that's like a triumph, that the slow moments, the quiet moments are where I really actually like find myself locking back in. And I think that we have talked about this in a couple of the episodes up to this point. Like, there's so much plot and there's so much Hadrian's thoughts and there's so much of that whenever we just get the chance for like characters to interact, it's such a breath of fresh air, which I feel like most books are just characters interacting and you're waiting for something to happen. This is just so much happening and you're just waiting for some characters to interact, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I was really, really impressed with this book whenever those scenes would come up, how engaging it was. And it's weird because it almost makes me wonder, like, Racchio, like, why wouldn't you doing more of this in the first one? You're so good at it, you know? But we don't really get an opportunity to just like see characters talk, especially characters that aren't Hadrian. Like, it's like its own Bechdel test, you know? It's like the Racchio test. Like, do two characters exist in this book with a plot line where they have a conversation that doesn't involve Hadrian, you know?
Well, especially when they're questioning him.
Yeah.
Which, because, yeah, he's writing it, but we actually even do get some scenes like that. I mean, maybe talking about Hadrian, but we get some scenes detached from Hadrian a little bit, even if it's just like Hadrian was listening in or was in passing or was remembering some. It's something that starts in this book that I like a lot, where it's like Hadrian remembers somebody telling him about it later so that we can see a scene.
Yes.
That he wasn't directly involved in,
which we love. Below that
yeah. So like whenever there's a big scene at the end of this book where he gets beheaded, and then he gets to tell. One of my favorite moments in this entire book is whenever we stop being in Hadrian's first person, just for a moment after he gets beheaded. Whenever we get to see like a third person reaction from Valka and crew. That then gets explained into the writing as is how she told it to me.
It's so cool.
Incredible. Cool, like, so good that we actually get these little moments to break away from the immediate kind of head of Hadrian and see outside a little bit. And it's what I like to call cinematic writing. It's where you can see where the camera is in your mind, you know?
1,000%. Cinefiction.
Yeah.
I love it.
And it works so well. Like,
it's where I feel like a Guy Ritchie movie starts, you know, in a lot of ways, where it's like you are like brought into a scene and you see the camera kind of like, and obviously, Nick, you've got much better terms for language here, given that you actually worked within the film industry more directly. But and you know, an MFA in it, right? No joke. I love thinking through the lens of the camera and the way that it adapts, and also the way that our minds explore scenes. And it was so fascinating for me. And I brought this up to Josh, I think in the middle of this book, that Racchio doesn't have that lens. He doesn't have that imagination. He can't visualize a scene. Yeah. So as a writer, or as a writer reading a writer of whom isn't able to imagine things in scenes like that, I'm like,
this is crazy because I sure can
do this. Yeah.
Well, I think it almost makes sense that he can't, because he has to describe what he would want the action to be in a way where someone else can see the scene. It might just be like, yeah, I can see it. And they'll just kind of write what they're imagining without understanding that they need to describe exactly what that would be. And or someone will describe exactly what it is, and it's really fucking dry, Robert Jordan. But, you know, like...
yeah.
Racchio hits like a really good balance of like somehow just evoking exactly where it would be. And I think it might be because he can't see it, so he's not assuming somebody else saw something he didn't. Because that's something like I struggle with whenever I'm writing. I'll probably never publish anything, but you know, like whenever I'm writing, like I can see it so vividly, so I'll just type it all out, and then someone else will read it and they'll be like, so where is this? You know, and I'm like, right. Tavern.
Meat hooks, ceiling, bar chairs.
Yes, you're right. I saw it. I forgot you can't see. Right. That's my bad. That's my B, boy. You know,
smells. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So,
well, he's got the whole.
You can't see it, just like me.
Right, exactly. Which is the trick, right? Is trying to get your reader to see it as close to how you want them. And some authors will leave things way up to interpretation. I like that a decent amount of his players are grounded. And there's a lot of great fan art too for this series that makes it really easy if you can't like grasp something. You can find some cool stuff.
Well, and something I
and
started
legit
appreciating
art,
a lot
like
more.
crazy.
Oh,
Anyway, yeah.
some of the best art I've seen for a series, even from the 2 books of worth of art that I've been allowed to see that was sent to me from Crossland.
I just want to shout out Karen Yanner, of whom I've always thought is one of the best magic artists of all time, is just straight up one of the best artists.
It's so cool.
For the series. He does most of the covers for the original trilogy. He did a lot of the work. Was it in the Broken Binding and in the Andarita editions? And I think also John Barry Ballorand did the one that you're holding, right, Nick? The
diamond.
Yeah, and then I forget who else is doing the rest of those, but
real quick, I know we just kind of like jumped right into a cocktail segment, so we didn't do a beer thing, but I do want to shout this beer out.
Oh yeah, shout out your beer real quick while Nick's peeking through.
Yeah, exactly. I figured this is a good time. This is a Half Dome by Tioga Sequoia Brewing. Tioga Sequoia is a brewery from my hometown that I used to work for, and that my wife used to work for, but not at the same time. It is a very good peach wheat beer. It's one of my favorites in general. Like one of those beers I just keep coming back to. I remember drinking a beer with one of my best friends, his first time drinking a beer, and it was Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. And he went, "I don't think I like beer." And I love a pale ale, but I was like, "Oh man!" And then he tried a Half Dome right after it, and he went, "Oh, I do like beer."
That was quick.
Shout out to Tioga Sequoia Half Dome Peach Wheat Beer. It's delicious and easy to drink, and it tastes like peaches.
Nice. I don't have a beer that I'm drinking, but an observant viewer may notice that I've been pouring a little bit of wine. I do have a Chardonnay Ferrari Corano that I've been enjoying on the side.
We love that.
Because I didn't want to pick up a beer.
I had a Goes beer once. I don't have a beer with me tonight. I said whiskey,
yeah.
But I had a Goes beer from World of Beer back during my master's degree program after the last day of shooting of my short film, which you can watch on YouTube on the Wiki. It's not very good, so don't go watch it.
Plug it.
It's a horror comedy. It's definitely a student film, but it was like the thesis film that year, and I was like just toast afterwards. We went out to drinks afterwards, and I had this Gose beer, and I was like, "This is the best beer I've ever had in my entire life. It's a sour beer. I've like, where do I get this?" And to this day, at the time was just too inebriated to write it down, and now it's all I think about. And I've yet to find it. And at this point, it's kind of like maybe it's better that way. Let it be the legend in my mind. Because when I drink it,
it's like the dream. Yeah,
it was just like a skunked keg of Blue Moon.
Exactly.
A Peroni that sat in the sun for 4 years.
Oh God! The clear bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
In the Florida sun,
this is the best. Someone's like, "Is that guy really drinking the joke Peroni?"
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
Anyways,
Nick, were you counting down? Yeah.
The dust jacket art and interior color art is James L. Cook, and the black and white interior art is Taryn Fiddler, and that's for the special edition that Rocky had on the site. Yes.
I believe it's switched now to John Barry Ballorand and someone else. I think that it's still maybe Taryn. No, whoever did the cover, I think is still on the cover. Anyway, core point being, man has done an incredible job with the art for the series, including his own art management and like Broken Bindings, and also with 3 different ongoing special editions for the series, to have them all both look and have such distinct styles, like the Star Wars inspired style of the High Matter edition, as it's called, with that cover. If you want to hold that up just so Josh can see it, because I don't think he has. And we'll let that try to focus. For just a second here, it'll appear great on the video for everyone listening or viewing this later, but very like movie poster style, very cool for Empire of Silence. The Howling Dark one is bound to look great. It's very exciting.
I'll say it makes a lot more sense for Empire of Silence than the current cover. That's the one I don't get.
Also, I think that's the only one that was done by that one artist. He only did that book, and then I think he came back more recently for some of the special edition art in one of the editions. I don't remember which, but regardless, incredible art. And then in addition, some of the fan community works are just awesome as well. Like
there's so much cool art out there.
Yeah, there's some super cool art for the series, and I think that like I've always thought, and a lot of this comes from like being a huge fan of Critical Role, that incredible artists chomping at the bit to put their like craft to the test for your story is such a huge testament to how good your story is. Like, the better the fan art for something is, the more it shows that it's something special.
Absolutely.
And you can definitely see that in the series. If I'm not overstepping, if nobody is like in a specific spot, like I want to jump into some specifics.
Do it. Fire.
Hell yeah.
So, well, some questions even.
Yeah.
That aren't even in your notes, Cross.
No. I put random shit down, man. That's always like, these are topics if we need them. So
least favorite character of the book.
Ooh.
Oh. My heart
fucking
wants to say
what's
Switch,
the name?
but it's not true.
I almost also said Switch as a joke, but I was not. It was so not true. It was so not true. I'm very hurt for Switch. Switch is one of the few characters that made me cry. I could talk about Switch for a lot. We will talk about Switch in a moment because the Switch of it all is a whole concept in my mind. Least favorite, man, I fucking love him, but the spider dude, Father
Calvis.
Yeah. Most fucked up little spider guy of all time. 10 out of 10. I
was going to say the same thing. He's one of my favorite written characters. Maybe. Fuck that.
Fuck that guy.
It should just not be in the book.
There's also the guy who actually the worst character, like the most deplorable, is definitely the guy of whom made the like genetic clone that can't move properly.
Actually, let's change the answer.
Yeah,
she can't run away.
She can't run away. I've got the model that you can steal if you'd like. I can make a couple for you if you'd like.
No.
Yeah, okay.
With the gold eyes. Man, I can't remember his name right now.
What was it? I've got the model. Sorry, like, one more time what you just said?
Well, it's like I've got the model. I've got the model ready to print or something like that, or like ready to replicate.
Oh no, I got it right here. Magic and technology, voodoo dolls and chance, electricity. We're making weird science. Then seeing microchips shooting from the hip, something different. We're making weird science. So I don't like that guy. You're right. Yeah, the rapist engineer. Let's get him out of here.
Always a bad
Father
time.
Calvis can have him do whatever he wants with him. You know.
Least favorite characters.
What about
that's
you?
Rough. For this book specifically, Bassander Lynn, I really did not like
in this book. I could understand it. And I haven't gotten farther, but I can already tell I'm going to like this.
Just speaking from a Howling Dark perspective, not talking about flashbacks, flash forwards, no spoilers, just in this book in general.
Cop.
He's the cop character, and I just fuck the police, right? But at the same time, I read a lot of sci-fi. I read a lot in general, but like I know this character, or at least I thought I knew this character archetype. It's like playing D&D. He's the leader of the house, the city guard. And so I'm like, oh, this is just gonna be an obstacle that I know is not going. He's like a time waster to me, at least in the beginning. I felt that's where he was going. And so I kind of wanted to avoid him, and I kept getting back to him. He kept being like an obstacle for Hadrian. I'm like, this guy's got so much cooler villains right now, Bassander. Like
than this motherfucker.
Yeah. Like he's cool, and he's definitely a well-written character, and he's got his own quirks that I think are interesting that make him different than like your typical cop character. But he comes off as like almost Judge Dreddy in this one, and I'm just like, just stand aside. This is the wrong movie. It's the wrong story. Like the Cielson are so much scarier than you.
It's interesting with how it ends. He almost ends up like if you're watching Dune, like a Stilgar, or like oh my god, I can't think of his name. Masmar, maybe from Wheel of Time.
Nice guy.
I think he has an eye patch. There's like that one guy who becomes like the prophet of the dragon from Shinar.
Right.
What's his name? I think it starts with an M.
It definitely does. There's so many fucking characters, and I haven't read that series in so long that my brain is like
too many characters. And same. I've only read any of those books once, and it's been.
Is it Uno?
Uno. Well, yeah. Was it Uno?
I think it was Uno. Yeah, he's like the
Uno has an eye patch. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Uno like kind of. It might be Uno, or it might be one of the other people around Uno, and Uno's also there. I don't know. But one of those Shienarans with Uno, or Uno himself, becomes the prophet of the dragon. Spoilers again. But yeah.
That's Bassander's vibe.
Bassander has that vibe where he's like this like cop, soldier, Tinker Tailor soldier spy. And then all of a sudden...
I'm a believer.
He's like just this diehard, like... believer of the main character to a creepy degree.
I love that you guys are diehard haters because I love Chamberlain in this moment. I love it. I love to hate him for the same reasons that you guys do, right? But like, part of it is that Basander to me is like was the first introduction beyond Volca of a character that felt like someone that Rockio was putting serious development into, and then he gives 100%. Us such a different perspective on the cop paladin, right? In the temple,
we've said before, paladin,
right?
Yes, like cop paladin.
Yeah, he just well, all paladins are cops. Like that's just a nature of the character. Like that's a part of playing or DMing a group of D&D players.
Throws an Oathbreaker just like a cop that's gone rogue with his own set of
he absolutely he smokes 4 cigars a day and he's developing gruff. If he's like a level 3,
he turned 16, he's got gun, but he knew it was right. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. He's like, I can't let this case go, Chief. And he's like, turn in your badge and your gun. He's like, I'm going to pursue it. He's going to be like,
I gotta kill 400 more goblins before I can pursue that.
Exactly. Well, I got to level up.
I gotta level up a little bit.
I need some XP.
It's actually way
easier to do 3 genocides. And then
way easier to do if you allow me to continue to be an order paladin instead of an oathbreaker. Or like an ancients. Way easier. If you don't want to make me okay, cool.
I love the idea of making a cop paladin whose deity is just a police chief.
That's amazing.
That sounds like something that would be straight out of a Brenly Mulligan campaign of like Unsleeping City. Like, that sounds like a character.
Like you gotta report to the chief. And he can take your badge and your gun and your magical powers away at any moment.
Oh my god! And then you just end up with different powers because it's like, well, I can be whatever I am. Just imagining Allie Beardsley playing that character now, and it's
like noir Allie Beardsley cop paladin detective.
What's his name from Bad Boys? Captain Howard. That's my brain went to like short.
Yes,
angry,
absolutely.
Smoking.
Yeah. So good.
That's great. Well, listen, Basander is like you were saying, one of the few characters so far that challenges Hadrian constantly, who stays in frame for longer than 5 seconds, which is interesting because Hadrian's retelling the story. So you think if he was going to retell the story, which I'm not saying he's not guilty of embellishing and making himself look amazing, but you would think if he was retelling the story, he would like redact some of these things that, these negative reflections or, opinions of him.
And I think like a great example of that, like potential redaction, is when he kills the 3 soldiers and like the implication of like not doing that intentionally or what have you. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, who cares? But in the end, the reality is that Basander faces him with that then is a critical moment for Hadrian is like, no, you did kill those people. You did cut off my hand. Like it is your fucking fault. And I love that scene in which he confronts him. I mean, between the most important, the critical characters of the story are Basander, Switch, Karn, of course, and then Volca. I was almost forgetting Volca. I was like, those are our like most critical characters to a lot of this. I know that like Saltus is on your mind, Josh, and while Saltus may be important in the background of the story, I'm not sure that the red monkey is making an appearance anytime soon. But to return before you say
I think it was described as actually a gray blue, but it's fine.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm past the point of remembering what color he is, and I'm already incredibly colorblind.
You're
so I'm not trying
to that you don't know because he's the most important character in the last book you read.
So important, so sick, so good. It was so cool.
Hadrian,
he was the one who made the sun. Yeah,
it was Saltus standing there ready to catch the ship. Sacrificing himself for all of Sailson kind, maybe?
Definitely the Dragon Reborn. He was the main character.
Oh, 100% the whole time. But that said, there are like 5 or 6 characters that are like the mainish like characters. We get a lot of development of the Red Company. They're fun. They're great. We get more of them, and like to have supporting characters is excellent. But I love that most of our supporting characters in this book are antagonistic. Like it's all villains all the way down, baby.
As far as characters on that statement that you just made that I feel like I could have had more of, I don't want to say least favorite in the sense of they're bad characters or they didn't work where they were, but characters maybe I'm the most let down by their usage. I could have used more Janan. I could have used stronger usage of Janan. Janan might be my least favorite written character in this, and I do like Janan.
Yeah, she's almost, I don't want to call her fridged. I think we talked a little bit about this, but like,
Yeah.
almost,
It's
obviously she doesn't die.
fridging.
Yeah.
She rides
But
that
it's
line.
kind of fridging.
So it's close.
She's like, she's paper thin, right? She's, you know.
Yeah, I could have used a stronger Janon character. I could have almost used half of what happens with Janon being Valka instead, and then having like switch up later, like, and then we still could have had the same Valka. It just kind of feels like an added character for Hadrian's growth that doesn't really have her own sense of like center or self. If that makes sense.
There's a very short story that adds like 16 pages to this whole idea, and it works as an interstitial between book 1 and book 2 a little bit. I'm like, man, that's what I needed for that character. And I'm glad that it exists, but in the function of the prose as it's presented, that can be difficult. Like, I love that Rocky is also willing to go in and like fill in these things and provide these things. And that's excellent. And
if you read a book and you're like, wow, I wish I had more time with this character, and you're willing to just release more time with that character to fill it out, I love that. Like, keep working, keep fixing, but like,
that doesn't change the feeling of the book and the presentation. And like, this is the spine of the series. Those are ribs at best, and I'm gonna just call it like blood vessels or marrow. Like, they're so minor by comparison.
Exactly. Yeah. And honestly, you were saying it adds like 16 pages.
Yeah.
I think that's all I really needed to really like flesh out this character. It doesn't have to be a major character. It just feels like a shortchanged character that we see so expressly through Hadrian's lens, which everything is through Hadrian's lens for sure. But I feel like so many other characters get even less like page time and shine a bit more. And
like,
so,
even Corvo or Polino, for instance, that we talked about.
Corvo is actually a great example of someone with like less page time, maybe that
shows up more and means more. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So, I do like Janon. I would like to see more of Janon, but I probably won't, knowing how the series works, because our next book will probably be 1,000 years later and everyone's dead.
Nick, did you have any other thoughts on
Janon specifically? It's rough, right? Because you feel like she's just kind of there to boost Valka and Hadrian's bond later. Because like, Hadrian can't be single at the start of the second book. That would just be weird. He's got to be with somebody.
No, he's so hot. Yeah,
like, he's too hot. He has to be with someone.
Yeah,
God forbid he started off and he's like, yeah, you know, I'm just
money,
like, working on me.
He's everything that everybody knows is super hot. He's short. He's dramatic.
Melodramatic, yeah.
And he's broke. That's why everybody loves me, baby.
That's very true. Yeah.
As long as Hadrian is hot, I'm hot, so we're just going to roll with it.
I've read a decent amount of the short stories and the novellas in between them. I think the most recent one I have not gotten to was Queen of My Ashes is later on.
Queen of Maybe is between 2 and 3. So Josh has actually already read Queen. I've read Queen. Quite good, but we're not going to talk about Queen. Lesser Devils is before this. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that one's great. Yeah, love that one.
Well, I'm gonna give a teaser for Queen, because we are going to be doing an episode of that.
Hell yeah!
All I'll say is, Queen of Ashes as a short story is the single thing ever that I've read that feels the most like a singular planet mission on a Knights of the Old Republic game.
It's like a bottle episode. Anyway,
I've never had anything feel more like I was playing KOTOR while reading than Queen of Ashes.
Interesting. Way more to say on that. We won't talk about it now.
So much. And we'll talk about it a lot in that episode. That might be before.
Should be next week. It should be next week. This one comes out 2 days from now. So
I'm ready to record Queen. Let's go. After this.
Who's your favorite character? If we talk about our least favorite character, like, who's your favorite character in this whole book?
Father Calvis. No. It's Karn Sagara. It's Karn Sagara. It's Karn Sagara. Why would it not be Karn Sagara?
Of course.
Who else would it be? It could be Brethren.
I was just going to say Cheaters, because Brethren was a pleasant surprise for me. I was like, wait.
What is
it? For me, and that was going to be the follow-up question. I expected to talk about this one a little bit less, because I think it's an easy answer in this book specifically.
Karn's amazing. He's on the cover. Such a cool character. We love a good immortal transhuman character.
There's no character like Karn that I've read in fiction, personally.
Not one that comes
in the
off
ways
as
that
strong.
Karn is Karn.
No.
Yeah, no, there's just not. Like,
he's also there for a lot longer. Like a lot of times you get the big bad evil guy or like the gray, morally gray, playing neutral evil broker character.
yeah,
Like was it Elusive Man and Mass Effect 2? You only get to see him in that one game, and
and
like,
he's kind of the Elusive Man, but he's also kind of Baez, like, but he's also kind of like the Emperor, but he's also kind of he's so many things, and of all those
maybe
things,
Indiana
I've never
Jones,
seen...
and you're like a little intrigued. Yeah,
yeah. He started off as Indiana Jones before he became fucking, I don't know, the three-eyed raven. Like, he's all of these things, and none of those characters I've
keeps
ever
the three-eyed
seen.
raven as a pet. But yeah,
yes,
You're right. Yeah, mostly in the sense that he exists. Oh yeah, you're right. The three-eyed raven is brethren. That makes sense.
yeah. Anyway.
I've never seen any of these characters that he is inhabit the body of, like, just like a knockout babe and then try and seduce our main character.
It's the best. It's
Just that's
crazy.
wild. Like, that is the moment that I think that is the only time up to that point. There were multiple times after that point where I was genuinely taken aback, surprised, and did not think that's what the book was doing. Like,
it comes out nowhere.
There's moments where I was like, oh, that's a cool, interesting way to take this, but I wasn't like, there were times where it's like, oh, I didn't think that, like, Rockio would go into such, like, an intimate scene with Janan and Hadrian. Like, that's actually, like, it's cool to see, like, writers of this genre who are men exploring, like, romance and sensuality in this way. I didn't necessarily expect that, but I wasn't, like, taken aback. That scene, I was like, I didn't know we were doing this kind of book. That's crazy. Like, what?
Hadrian's hiding his one-eyed soldier from an android that is also the big bad.
It's also big bad.
Yeah. And Hadrian isn't explicitly, I think, and maybe it's implied. It might be implicitly, but I feel like it's explicitly not turned off once he learns it's Karn. He's freaked out. But he's not turned off. And that's,
not totally
that's an
repulsed.
important distinction.
Also, revisionist history from Hadrian at the end of his life.
Exactly.
We don't know what Hadrian and Karn have by the end of
What
this.
happens
You
on
guys do,
Vargoso
I
stays
don't.
in
Yeah,
Vargoso.
so.
It stays.
That whole scene
Vargoso
gave
is
me...
Las Vegas in space. You're totally right.
I hope he keeps
basically.
going. I hope there's, like, a lot of just missing. I mean,
redacted, or just missing
I would
time.
like to say, and I know we're not supposed to talk about it, that I have started listening to Demon in White, the first couple of chapters, to start that section. One very, very mild thing is that there is a chunk of time between that book and this book.
Mm-hmm.
And we know from some of the short stories we've read, such as, like, Demons of Are,
Which came out before this, so
yeah, which people have now heard that I know about. I don't remember what I said, but I'm sure it was words.
I remember, for the record, that we were like, oh, this is definitely coming out after our wrap up. So it was so good to have Nick on the podcast. It was so wonderful. Right,
We were so
we made all that commentary. We made all that commentary.
Yeah, just set me up. That's good.
And also, like, I edited it and I had time, and I was like, nah, it's funnier to keep that in.
1,000%. You have to.
Yeah.
I definitely think Hadrian was into it, and I think that he on purpose redacted those moments. When he's telling the story, he's like, I was down there for 4 months. Like, were you there for 5 months?
We get these little pockets of things that happened, but with a couple hundred years in the middle there, I don't know that Hadrian wasn't making a couple trips back to Vargosos every now and then.
I mean, that whole scene gives me Blade Runner vibes, but also Ex Machina. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the film. And the way that those characters are trying to seduce the main character, like, it reminded me of that.
Very much so.
And it's such a cool way to do it. That's not just like, we're going to send in the interrogators and we're going to strap you to a laser chair and we're going to torture you.
It's such like a mind fuck, quite literally. And like, not to so typically on this podcast we don't really do, like, side tangents, but I guess I'm just gonna break that rule real quick. Who directed Ex Machina? Let me make sure I'm right.
Alex Garland.
Alex Garland. Okay, how do we
soon to be the Elden Ring
movie?
Top 5 directors, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, I was like, I'm right? This is Alex Garland.
Civil
Holy
War.
responsible for starting this podcast,
director with Civil War and Men, also, I believe.
Civil War, Men, writer of 28 Days Later, 28 Years Later. Devs. Devs is what started this podcast. I've mentioned it many times.
No shit. Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely incredible. Alex Garland is making the Elden Ring movie, and I could not be a more excited little boy. That's all. That's all. I just have to say that anytime someone brings up Alex Garland.
And if anyone hasn't watched the fucking Bone Temple, grow the fuck up and watch it, because that is the best movie in that entire fucking series. Oh, it really is.
Crossland, we've talked about I know. And I want to,
watch any of the movies
together.
Yeah. You also listen, watch all of the movies, and that's a whole
exactly. I want to, but I feel like now it has to be done in some sort of podcastable format.
Yeah, for sure. Everything's content. I feel like that film, and this is probably not canon or not accurate. This is not factual, but in my mind, it is that they only filmed Bone Temple because they're already there. And it's Danny Boyle, and he shoots for low budget with high.
That was Nia DaCosta. That was Nia DaCosta.
But, like, while they're all there, they're just like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just film just side film.
One more movie.
So my understanding is that Garland wrote we don't need to get into this right now, but Garland wrote the two movies at once, intentionally filmed the one, and then had already written the other. And so they bled over some of those scenes to like make it a seamless sequel. Cool. Specifically with the Jimmies, we don't need to get into the rest of those details, but that was kind of borrowed from the other filming, which I believe is why DaCosta has a second AD credit, I think, on one of the in the original 28 Years Later. Anyway, core point being weird science, as Josh transitions us back once again to the story. Garland is incredible. Garland is the man that I imagine doing this in so many ways. Oh my God. I want the weirdness. I want the disentanglement from reality. And I imagine that with Karn Sagara so cleanly. You brought up Men. Men is one of it might be my least favorite Garland movie, but that's still better than a lot of other movies.
No one should like it. It's great.
Correct. Exactly. It's the only Garland movie actually that I've turned off ever, mostly because I saw every other movie in theater and I didn't see Men in theater, but that's a whole separate problem.
I love Men, but I hate it also kind of a way. I think it's such an incredible film.
You watch it one time, that's it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, Men is Garland's take on an Ari Aster film. It's just not fun to look at.
For sure. I think about that in that context of I stare at it and I feel like this sort of sense of awe from the beginning of the story when the man falls out of the window up until we have the creepy moments that will permeate the rest of the story that we don't need to talk about and that I would rather leave for people who might be curious and investigating. But Garland has this sense of sort of
like Birth.
Yeah, right. Oh my God. What a twice. So we
it's a great film. If you feel that way, imagine how women feel ever.
It's film. I love a good film. And I would say that I recommend Garland's work if you like this, right? So it's very adjacent. Annihilation has the same sort of
such an incredible film.
The book and we have to divorce the two. Nick and I actually bonded over.
I have not read the book. I just like that movie.
Connection.
Yes. Two very great things that can exist somehow, which is not usually the case with book to film adaptations. Usually I'm pretty open about hating one or the other, but I like.
And Jeff hates that movie so goddamn much. And I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry, buddy. I love that movie.
if Jurassic Park can exist along with the book, then
exactly.
I mean, Jurassic Park is one of my top 5 all-time perfect movies. Nothing like the book. Jurassic Park 2, more like the book, worst movie.
Yeah.
I love Jurassic Park.
I'll just say I want that tone, and this book gives me that tone. It's so rare that you get this sort of sense. And
isolation,
isolation for sure, alien isolation. But also just the idea of Karn is someone that is so removed and extracted from normal characters that his presentation is just so fun. It's so good.
So cool.
His layer
is so cool.
Yeah. Karn's a thing I've never seen before behind Bolted Doors Weird Science,
Nice. At this point,
And
we should also get like a little Mystery Science Theater guys pop up like right here.
Nice. A little puppets.
It's just Nick and I's heads like popping out of the bottom. Nice. That's a good Weird Science reference, actually. As Josh is talking. Yeah, right, exactly. That was perfect.
That was power.
Yeah. But no, Karn's so sick. And sorry, Nick, I want to let you talk about Karn, but
I love Karn.
He really does bring in so many aspects to the story that were missing for me. Something that makes me like, and Karn can always just be a background thing that we don't even need to talk about in future books. I assume Karn will be in future books based on the way that so much is going on. But
Karn ends. Yeah.
Or
but like Karn just existing in the world elevates this world so much.
It really does. It's similar to the Illuso Man in Mass Effect, where you're like, oh, there's a side player that's not just like a billionaire asshole that's like, I'm gonna jump in when it's convenient. This guy's like, I've been around for a minute. And
it's like the faceless men in Game of Thrones, or like these side characters that are so important to the world, even if they're not important to our every single aspect of our story as we move on. Just knowing that exists as an opportunity that could come in. I mean, it's it becomes less so maybe as the story goes on, but a slight spoiler for Red Rising. It's like Quicksilver changed how I viewed a lot of the outside world in that. To a lesser degree than Karn Sagara, I'll tell you that much. Like introducing a character that just exists permeated throughout the world in a way that we hadn't been thinking about because it's not directly in line with the plot that we're in.
Thought of Quicksilver and Karn in the same context, but like as
there's a similarity to it.
Yeah, I get it. I can
see it. Like it's because they're side players that aren't just like they're
side players that are maybe more powerful than the main players that are.
They're side players that can affect the outcome if they wanted to, and you're like, why don't you want to? That
maybe are infecting the outcome more than we realize the entire time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like deuter antagonist versus like an antagonist fully as we compare those two pieces. But yeah,
I would say throwing another spoiler into this bunch for a different book series. So spoiler for Joe Abercrombie's The First Law. If you haven't read it, get the fuck out of here. Go read it because it's my favorite fantasy series.
Skip 2 minutes ahead.
Baez is one of the only times I've seen this character be kind of the main character of the story, if that makes sense. Like, it's interesting, but it is kind of that thing where it's just like
fucking Baez.
If we were to smush these two books together, Karn would be more of a Baez or maybe a Khalul than he would be anybody else involved. He's like this weird wizard overseeing the outcome of everything. That is typically shunted off to the side of a story, and it's so cool to see him here in this weird way. And I don't know.
To pull a Lord of the Rings comparison, he's like a Saruman kind of in his own way, right? Like it's like, man, he's consorting with the enemy, he's consorting with us, but we don't know what side he's on until we know what side he's on. And now we're like, hang on, he's actually on our side, which is we are we the baddies? Are we the baddies?
Are we the bad guys? Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's lived long enough to see. I mean, brethren, you know, do you guys think that Rockio thinks the AI is bad? I think that's what he's trying to tell us with the American AI is that, you know, AI not good. It's very
that's how I feel, so I like to believe. You know.
But I do like that there's like a post use for the AI creatures in this world, which I was not expecting either, because I have a hard time with, like, you know, not dying Earth per se, but it's like leftover remnants of like a different time. It reminds me a lot of Dune. In the world of Dune, everything's analog for a reason, because like the world of the machines took over and AI was horrible, which is great. But I already read that story. I like in this one where that's like Brethren's actually kind of helpful, like not outwardly just like a sea creature just flopping around there being evil, but like
it's also weird that he's a sea creature to begin with, like an AI sea creature. Strange. Wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah,
makes sense.
It kind of makes a lot of sense whenever it's explained and broken down. An organic AI data farm, like, because it's not organic AI.
Natural cooling. It's a natural cooling environment.
Cooling. Organic matter is going to be able to process that energy faster. Like it really does add up.
Doesn't make it less freaky. I do want to make one like small side mention that I've never talked about before.
There's little hands.
Oh, the little hands are very freaky. So there's an important series to me when I was growing up called the Pendragon Chronicles by DJ McHale. And in the fourth book, they introduce this kind of idea of like this AI pyramid. It is post Matrix, so it's important to recognize that like he's borrowing a little bit, but stretching it in some ways. But this feels like the extension in so many ways of a lot of those thoughts to its logical end conclusion, which is like, hey, if we need to use these people as batteries, why are we even using them as batteries? Let's use them as circuit boards. Like, why aren't we using them as circuit boards? And that is a logical connection that like even the Wachowskis didn't make at the time. And so that is, again, another layer of this story being like, oh, hey, I know you thought we were just like a weird sci-fi series that was like just kind of copying some other things maybe and like just doing it better. What if I threw something the fuck out? Yeah. Right. Yeah. So what if I threw something else crazy out there?
Yeah, I know, and I love it. It's the only time I've seen that, like,
right to this degree, at least, like, not in the background. It's right in your face. The whole, I almost said Exegol. That's Star Wars. Morghosis, which does kind of have an Exegol vibe because it's like frozen.
Similar vibes for sure. I imagine it seems the same.
Yeah. The underground ocean is where I fell in love with this book because it reminded me so much of Evangelion, or Evangelion, depending on what type of viewer you are. Yeah. So in Evangelion, like the nerve headquarters is like a pyramid underground under Japan, but it's like an underground, like almost like halos, like a biome underneath. And that's how I feel about Karn's like whole palace. Really, is like it's a world underneath the planet.
You can't bring up Halo and Karn and Brethren without me having to go on a Halo spree here.
Nice.
Yeah, we got to talk about the
reminds me, of the Allmind. Is that his name?
Well, I always want to say the Overmind, and it's not. I don't think it's the Overmind because the Overmind is StarCraft. That's StarCraft. Unless I'm now mistaking the two for each other, but I believe Overmind.
I have to look it up. Gravemind.
Gravemind.
Yeah.
Because Overmind did it first in 1999, and that's all I'm saying. But that's fine.
And he's grabbing.
I can't look at Brethren without thinking about the Gravemind.
Incredible scene.
And I can't think about Karn Sagara without thinking about the just the Oracle, and I can't think about like the Cielson without thinking about Elites. It's so Halo.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I love it.
No,
it's a compliment. I love Halo. So.
They remind me of Turians and Mass Effect a little bit, but I can definitely see Elites too. Like they have that like
very much so Turians.
And their size too. They're like 9 feet tall, I think, for Cielson.
But the Quiet also makes me think of if we go to Mass Effect, like the Quiet gives a Reaper vibe. We don't know that that's what's going on yet, but if we're talking Mass Effect, they give a Reaper vibe. So yeah, I think Rockio maybe just played all my favorite video games and then wrote a perfect book series. But
listen, I mentioned these things to him during an interview. I was like, "Oh, this the underground nerve headquarters in Evangelion." He's like, "Never watched it." I was like, "Okay, cool." Like the first book had like a Hyperion vibe. He's like, "Oh, I never thought of it that way." I'm like, "These are all my things. Like, you're breaking all my tools, bro." Like it's
Well, I do think it's one of those things where storytellers can lock in on aspects that work and are going to find like common ground in spaces,
Yeah, they cross-contaminate them, and it's the good authors that can kind of like blow off the dust and have something completely brand new underneath it.
Exactly. And Karn is something completely brand new, and Brethren is something completely brand new for me. And
what is his name? Ninja Turtles?
In Ninja Utron?
Krang.
We're thinking of Krang, yeah.
Like that's
I'm gonna have to be real here. I don't know shit about Ninja Turtles. I never watched Ninja Turtles.
It's my wife's favorite. That's her thing.
I know just enough about Ninja Turtles to be dangerous, and that's it.
Krang's like the little brain inside the android guy.
He's neutral. Yeah.
The two I'm gonna have to upset everybody forever with, and because I think I've passed the point where I'm gonna go back and try is Ninja Turtles and Dragon Ball. Like those two, I'm just gonna go right over my head. Gone.
So you just watch original Dragon Ball and just enjoy.
Yeah.
Enjoy the 2 seasons.
It's all right. I love Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I have all the anime I need.
Again, FMAB is my favorite anime series of all time. But Dragon Ball is like something else. Like it
would be hard for me to go back to Dragon Ball when I've already watched Attack on Titan and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I still don't think that's true. I think it's still worth a rewatch.
Dragon Ball is great. Dragon
we
Ball
were
Z.
talking about
I
this
know
with
it
the
is.
Devil's Cut, and I was like, Dragon Ball is the most influential anime
You
on
know,
me. But
I will
my
have
favorite
zero
is
no-
yeah.
I will have zero nostalgia eyes, and if I need a nostalgic anime to go back to, it's not technically anime. We can all fight. Avatar: Last Airbender is one of the greatest things ever made, and it's fine. And I have my new ones, and I can just live my life the way it's been.
I'm not here to be critical
And it's okay.
of the way that you've lived your life.
Socially, I know who Goku is. It's
However, I do think Dragon Ball itself is worth it on its own, and also I would then pit that at the very least through the Frieza saga is definitely worth it in Z. But that's it. The rest is set dressing in a wonderful way that I love.
And I'm sure you're so right.
Dragon Ball, at least you can watch it in an age.
I'm talking about 60 episodes. We're not talking about One Piece.
Sit me down and try and get me to watch it.
We're not talking about One Piece.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'll
you're
move
right.
to San Diego and make you watch.
Sometimes
tried to lock me into Bleach, One Piece, and Hunter x Hunter.
That's too much.
And just none of those are going to happen. It's too long. It's too much.
There's that. Sometimes they don't age well either. I tried to rewatch.
Hunter x Hunter's not done.
What is it?
Okay, but like there's only 60 episodes. It's fine. It's good.
It's just still going.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be a part of that.
Which one are you thinking?
Dragon Ball aged pretty well. I tried to rewatch Inuyasha.
Inuyasha did not age well,
and it did not age well.
No,
I was on a podcast once, and they're never going to listen to this because I don't talk to these guys anymore because whatever. But I was on a different podcast. I already forgot the name of it, so that's actually kind of perfect. They brought me on, kind of blindsided me. I thought they invited me on because they were talking about anime from the '90s, specifically big robot stuff, and so we were talking about Zoids, and I was like, I was a big Zoids head. Like, let's do it. And then I didn't realize that the podcast was about just memeing and being nasty about the stuff, which is I would not have agreed to do it because it wasn't fun for me. Like I'll do a roast session whenever, but it's just not, being overly negative is not my jam. But anyways, rewatching Zoids, I was like, oh boy, this did not age well. And I think there's some Dragon Ball Z that was probably going to fall into that category, but Dragon Ball Contained is pretty special.
Dragon Ball is brilliant, and again, it's like 40 episodes. It is
in my life where I need to
it's the avatar of its time.
Hopefully you don't get sick, but if you get COVID in the near future or some sort of
we'll see what happens. Very
easy to recover from illness that puts you on your back for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
There you go.
Dragon Ball win the lottery. Is easy, short, and brilliant. We wanted to talk a little bit. There are a couple of different topics that we wanted to hit. Where do we want to start? I kind of want to start with the switch of it all.
So first we talk about switches, then tops and bottoms, aka queerness, and then we move into transhumanism.
Yeah, okay, all of the above. Okay, cool. Yeah. So Switch. Switch is like the character that moves me to tears in this novel every time that I read it. The scenes are so confronting. Switch was the other character that we really got the most out of in the first book. And then we see him in this book and he's still there. He's playing such this role. And it almost feels at a left field in the way that like Hadrian alienates him and like chooses him to be this sort of villain. I can understand his justification in so many ways. And in a reread, it's so much clearer, to be frank. In an initial read, I was like, what why? What? I didn't quite catch it. And I didn't get it enough. In a reread, I'm like, okay, I understand your impression of what's going on here. And you're trying to insulate and you're trying to remove this because you believe it's a fault of trust. When in reality, it's a fault of belief. It's a fault of faith. In so many different ways in you. So much of my mind is also caught up in this moment. The season finale of The Boys just came out, and like that really centers around belief and faith. And we'll not talk about the rest of it, but like the idea therein, I can reapply to Switch and look at it and be like, I get why Hadrian would have a problem with you here and now for the same reasons. He's a little man-child. He's got that problem. He doesn't know.
I think that there's with the switch of it all, for me, I might have to change my answer for least favorite character in this novel to Hadrian. Right. Because fuck you.
Yeah.
In the way he did Switch. He redeems himself with getting beheaded and then being really cool. But, oh my God. Up until the moment he lost his head, I was like, honestly, dude, you can fucking get beheaded. And then he did, and I was like, oh, well, he did what I asked him to. And then he comes back and does some cool shit, and I'm like, all right, hey, we back, baby.
We back, baby.
I feel like if we got to see what Switch's story was in the months that they didn't know if they were going to live or die, that they were trapped on this ship on Vorgos, on Hell, on icy Hell.
Right.
Icy Hell.
Surrounded by robotic demons, 10-foot metal spiders. We could read the same story from Switch's point of view and see him as such a hero. Because he did get them out of there.
Mm-hmm.
He sacrificed possibly the well-being of his friend to save a lot of people. He didn't really do anything wrong.
The well-being, the political position is what he sacrificed. He sacrificed position. He sacrificed a chess piece on a board. He didn't sacrifice
to save a lot of fucking lives. Yeah. And he did. Like, they would still be in that fucking cell. Like, Switch did nothing wrong. Switch is Karn Sagara Brethren Switch for this
nice
one, in my opinion. The more I think about it, the more Switch is right.
He's kind of the reader, in this, or at least a morally reader, you know.
Yeah.
When posed with these larger than life questions or conundrums of what would you do, like,
does kind of like confirm my thoughts on Hadrian, because like if Switch is right, whenever I look at the actual what happened, Switch is right, and Hadrian thinks of me this way. Then how does Hadrian think of me? We see it right there. I'm like, okay, so I'm Switch. If I'm in that situation, I'm Switch, and Hadrian treats me that way, like all of a sudden, nah. I think Rockio does a great job of writing relatable characters that Hadrian hates, to make you understand that Hadrian doesn't like you, the reader. And it puts us in an interesting spot where I predicted a falling out between Switch and Hadrian before it happened, just based on the way it was written. I really thought Switch was going to betray Hadrian, which, sure, Hadrian will say he did. That's not what happened. Hadrian betrays Switch. And it's wild to be on the wrong side of history through a betrayal like this.
It really is. I've never experienced anything like it where, because usually especially when it's him narrating it, right? I'm like, oh, he's going to do or say he did something real shitty to make me, the reader, be like, oh, fuck Switch. But he really kind of doesn't. It makes me feel like he goes away. I'm like, oh no, I want to go that way. He doesn't even
have any way to tell us Switch did something wrong.
He barely betrays his trust. Yeah,
and he still doesn't betray him.
Yeah,
exactly. And then we're stuck with him, and then Switch is gone. And especially for one of the more openly queer characters too in the book series, like that was really exciting for me to have a character in a book like this. You know, white male author writing classic sci-fi, sci-fantasy. In a progressive way, and we had this character who I'm like, please don't betray him and be like a villain.
Literally named Switch. Yeah,
literally means Switch. Exactly.
Yeah, there he is, right there. Yeah. Which it's a chosen name. His name's William, but William the Switch for sure.
Love it.
Also, in so many ways, we could also like read into the name Switch and be like, okay, betrayer, okay, got it, fine. But like that's so basic. Rocky, I don't even think intends that.
I legitimately read it as he was a very he had the position he had because he was the Switch, and that's fine. And then he got the nickname, and then he stuck with it because it was fun. That's it.
It just makes me so sad. Like Switch is
his life is sad. His life is really sad.
Not only Switch's life, but also like Hadrian's reaction. He's like, "This is my best friend. This is my first friend that I really feel like I had." And I am ostracizing him. And in the end of his life, he still hasn't acknowledged the damage that he's done to this relationship. You know what I mean?
It doesn't make me sad how much you hate this guy.
No, absolutely. But it makes me sad for the potential of what they could have had and could have been. Like, this is like waving Severo off in book 1. This would be like, to the same degree.
Or in book 2, whenever they have the conversation in the shower. Spoiler. Sure. He doesn't answer and Severo leaves, and he's like, Severo was a bitch forever.
You could compare this to Ender's Game and Ender's Shadow. It could be Bean. Like it's so many different characters in which there are these moments in which we hope and we hope to see them come together. And this story is unique in the way that they separate instead.
Matt gets the dagger and Rand is just like, all right, go away.
Well, Matt, maybe instead, like the story is Matt gets the dagger and he stabs Rand. You know what I mean? Like, but
honestly, Matt is probably Hadrian.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
But to all this point, like I think that it's like an interesting beat to send away the character that we're not most, but like the next most interested in from the previous story, and also the closest character to him. Now all of a sudden he has friends that feel tertiary, and he has a relationship that feels close, and that's what we're left with going into the future story. But also the man is reborn a new person, so this is like just a whole different kind of maybe problem.
Not yet.
Well, he's got his head chopped off. Yeah,
dick.
Yeah.
At the point that he's being a dick.
Oh no, I'm not citing like any of the choices that he's made is wrong. Although I will say that new Hadrian reaffirms those choices when he re-meets him. So there's something
Spoilers,
there.
Dog.
Spoilers.
No,
I'm saying it within this book.
Oh, it's within this book. You're right.
Yeah. He gets his head chopped off,
might
and
also
then
be
he
might also be the worst to him that he is, but has the most remorse.
Correct. I think so. Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. I don't think Switch did anything that shouldn't just be like, hey, we were in a tough situation. Never do that again. But, maybe I don't know what happened.
Reading it the first time, it's exactly how it felt. I was like, why is this happening
Switch seems like he should have gotten a verbal warning, not a write-up.
Maybe a write-up, but not fired, for sure.
No, for sure not fired. Maybe a verbal warning that's like hey, by the way, we have to escalate this.
It's fine.
You've been spending way too much time with HR recently. Anyway.
Me, the guy who's training someone new, so I have to meet with HR every day? Yeah, okay, for sure. Yeah. Switch, favorite character of the book. Hadrian, least favorite character of the book. That's not true. That's just in this moment. That's how I feel. Favorite character of the book, Karn Cigar. Least favorite character of the book, the fucking guy who makes outrageous things. But
I do want to mention before we head into the queerness explicitly, because I do think that it's an important part of the topic, and I almost want to end with it and like talk about it in culmination of our story and our other thoughts. But I feel like we've ignored part of the story, which is the Cielson introduction. The idea that we really get to see them here for the first time, the monsters of the story. We interrogate them. We interrogate the language. We interrogate the ideas in what they can tackle, right?
And we, the reader, see how no way in hell, at the very least, with the ideals that Hadrian goes into this first two books with, of like, I'm going to change them. I'm going to make them.
I got this, Captain.
I got this. I've learned their language. I'm going to bridge it. It's going to be me. And then both Hadrian and the readers, especially the readers, seeing it from like this like bird's eye vantage point, are just like, no, you're not. That's
narrator. He could not.
He could not.
It feels like if lions had a society that could topple humanity, could we just let lions be? Right now, we're protecting lions. We're like, hey, there's not enough of them. We got to keep them around. But like, outside of dominating Cielson, how do we exist with Cielson? And the answer is we don't.
And I think it's the scene in the hangar. Is it the hangar? It's when they're behind the locked door and they've got tons of human hostages. I can't remember the names of the hostages that are with the Cielson, but they have.
Oh my god! But they have Rain Smythe and they have
Crossflame.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crossflame.
And then Hadrian has the child of the Cielson.
Nobuto. Yep.
That was the moment for me where I was like, oh, there's no, at least not in the context or this. Obviously, the small group of angry Cielson can't speak for all of them. They just don't understand
like mutually assured destruction.
No,
because they're like, hey, give us our son back, and then we will also kill your people. Yeah. And he's like, no, I'll kill your son if you kill our people. And they're like, give us our son back, and then we will also kill your people. And they kill his people. And he's like, so I'll kill your son. And That's one of the only times I've been like, yeah, kill the hostage.
Right.
Or watching something.
Kill the
I'm
child.
like, there's actually no other choice. Like, okay, so
but
they
as a
just
child,
said no.
it feels bad, you know?
It feels
does
bad,
feel
but
bad.
like, also, I cannot think of something else.
Have you ever in a moment like that during a hostage situation where both sides sacrifice their
I
hostage, and
can
it's like,
actually
now
think of
what?
4 moments in my own life in which I've negotiated a hostage crisis. Once was the cocaine
here's the
toilet
thing.
seat situation.
Which we talked about in Nashville. Wasn't that
We
bad?
did. No, that was actually not Asheville. That was in the Sprint store, but that's fine.
Oh,
Yeah.
I said Nashville the one time we hung out in person. No, okay, so if you gave me an alien child who was also a silver spoon bitch, I'd just behead him off the gate. So it's so cool that Hadrian made it a while. It shows he has like a big personality.
Well, because he's thinking like a negotiator, he's thinking like a pseudo-pacifist, xenolinguistic, you know.
But also we see the planets. We see like the siege idea of these things. We see it explode in front of them as it's blown to pieces. We see the potential.
We also see we see horror with the seals in a way we haven't seen up to this point.
The glass teeth, the glassy teeth.
Glass teeth is such a good explanation. Like constantly brought up. Oh, it's not good, and just this like dead shark eye thing going on. The Sealson are really presented in this
big
book
eyes.
as a threat that it was never quite presented this alien and this threatening the first book. The first book led us to through
sympathize, empathize,
lens,
understand,
empathize and sympathize with the Sealson. This is a crazy moment where like we're dealing with something outside of humanity for sure. These aren't humans, and I think if we look at all of the what's the word for it in this novel? Aliens, but
Xenos,
extrasolarians.
Not extrasolarians, Xenos.
Yeah,
Xenos.
Yeah.
If we look at all of the Xenos that are presented to us, they're less than humanity. So, like, we treat them like animals or pets or something like that. Even like the bird people like have language, but they're not a threat to humanity, I guess. So we see them as like, yes, they're like a burgeoning species we can help develop from what I've seen so far. The Umad, not the Umad, the Umad, fuck them. They do tentacle porn and I don't like them. But the Sealson are the only one that threatens humanity, actually. And so we can't view them in the way that we view other humans. And we can't view them in the way that we view humanity. And we can't view them as animals. So how do we view them? They're just a threat. I, Josh, believe that there could possibly be a way to develop this relationship. But honestly, the only way is either Sealson subjugation or human subjugation based on what we understand. Because we are two different species entirely.
Right.
And yeah, it puts the book in a weird spot where shit's rough. I don't like that existing, you know? I don't like to think about that. I would like to think that the aliens we speak English, and also we need help with the well, like Star Trek.
I was just gonna say,
I want Star Trek.
Star Trek, something else.
Hadrian wants so badly to Star Trek.
I want Star Trek.
He wants that so bad. He wants to be the Star Trek captain who's going to be the one that bridges the gap.
He's like, I'm going to be Captain Kirk. And they're like, by the way,
this book really
Erin
shows you
Yeager.
This is not going to be. Yeah, exactly. This book is not going to be Star Trek.
Imagine showing up thinking you're playing Captain Kirk, and then instead you're Erin Yeager. That's Hadrian.
Literally a 1-to-1 almost. That's great.
I love those comparisons. I do want to bring up, though, we obviously have mentioned it beforehand and everything else, but let's talk about the interesting, and I would say like polarizing approach to queerness in this novel. There are like two polar perspectives, I think, that are presented. in the text. Nick, I know that you've got a great and excellent perspective. I do want to start with Josh, just from the perspective of what he's seen so far, and what he understands from Hadrian and from the characters and everything else, and then we'll cut over to you and we can kind of like talk from there.
We're starting with Nick or Josh?
You.
Oh, I thought you said I don't want to start with Josh.
No, I want to start with Josh.
First time reader.
I want to start with Josh, the new guy.
The new guy on the block.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think Hadrian's an ally.
He's not full. He's not full woke.
Hadrian is like, maybe not an ally. I would say is
he
like
has gay friends. That's
correct.
My best friend's gay. That's
so I think that he's an ally, but not an advocate. If that makes sense. Like
yes,
he's not
100%. Well, like, which is odd because his mom is.
Oh man.
Oh, she
knowingly. Also, his brother knowingly.
It is interesting too. Like, I don't know. I think that there is queerness in this book, but it definitely like challenges you, the reader, and Hadrian, the person, to be like, okay, so you're okay with anybody like Wahoo and with anybody else, but you're not necessarily okay if somebody's not the gender they were born as. So like there's like a transphobia to Hadrian's existence that we see within the transhumanism situation, where he does specifically like add gender into his like conversation about changing your body. That I don't love, but it's fine. It's there. It's Hadrian. I disagree with him, and I disagree with him on so many things. So like, I don't think I have to agree with him there. I don't know. I don't know everybody else's specific sexualities, and nobody needs to, and we don't need to. I'm married to a woman, and I'm mostly into women, but like I'm not straight. So
totally cool, totally fine. Who gives a shit within our spectrum of conversation? You know.
With that said, I will say that I feel defensive and like aggressively so towards queer communities, and I do feel like there's moments in this book that Hadrian pisses me the fuck off.
I think that's intentional to some degree.
I think so too. Yeah,
he's got some growing to do. He's also set up to be successful, like with his situation, with his upbringing, with Valka being kind of like, I wouldn't even say she's pansexual. She's
families aren't a thing within the community, as we understand. Yeah.
And I'm quite certain the first book or the second book, it's mentioned that she's had relationships with Xenos too. It's like, she's all over the board, and it's great. And that Hadrian's cool with that. It shows you that he has the capacity to understand not just queerness in general, but as a concept or a social concept, but also just like sex and sexuality and sexual identity, which are all three completely different things. He has the capacity.
It's a triforce of a.
Yeah, it's a if you will. It's a triangle power. So, as someone who is
my sword can kill Ganondorf. It's fine. Yeah, cool. Anyway,
as a queer reader myself, like I'm also married to a woman, but my wife and I we consider us pansexual. And going into this book series, knowing that Chris Rocchio is like very
I'm so aggressively straight, and I'm so sorry, but I like
honestly, I
love you both so much. That's totally fine. Yeah, like I know where I stand on the Kinsey scale. I'm like barely a 2, but like I get it.
Nice.
Yeah. Honestly, it seems like the straightest I've ever met. Congratulations for being so straight.
And Rocchio probably also. So proud of him for being able to write. There's moments where it could be better, both in the writing and in the narrative. Hadrian, I think, is supposed to be flawed in that way.
Too. Yeah.
But also, like, in my mind, I'm like, but how, though? The most important person, two people in your life that are the most important, your father, who you can't stand, who's the straight asshole. And then you have Gibson, who's like, come on. And then your mom.
We know Gibson Fox. Yeah,
Gibson Fox. But like... But his mom is gay as hell. Like, she's just like, see you later. And it was very open. And so Hadrian,
she's got that green girl,
he's very accepting, but he's not.
No. She doesn't have the blue girl. It is oh my God. Crispin,
Sorry.
who has the blue girl. Crispin.
Yes.
No, Crispin doesn't. Crispin is going to visit. And
Crispin comments on the blue girl
Mom's
that's newly added, but yeah.
Mom's Menagerie.
The Mom's
has
Menagerie?
the blue
Yeah.
girl.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hader's mom's.
Specific. I mean, I'll
Total
fight
10.
you on this.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
No,
sure.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It's not Crispin's.
Crispin
blue girl.
doesn't have shit. He's just
He
excited to see
comments.
Mom's new
Yeah.
blue girl.
He's dragging off on Mom's new blue girl. It's fun.
Yeah.
You know,
It gets weird
All
whenever
this
Mom
sex.
owns sex slaves and then you're using them, but it's fine.
yeah, it's just a little, awkward during like social gatherings and stuff and for birthdays.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's set up for success to be an ally, and still, it's not that he's actively choosing not to be. And I do think he's a lot more accepting than other typical white male characters in a sci-fi series.
Oh, very much so.
Or straight presenting characters. But like even him choosing Valka is a pretty big deal. Only to you, the reader, off the page. Like on the page, it's not
Very
really
much so,
there,
yeah.
and that's like what I wish there was more of, especially in this book, which is a very, very queer book. I mean, anytime transhumanism is brought up, in and of itself is a
You
queer
hope
concept.
you dive into some queerness more so, but this is a queer book all around, I think,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
And I love
It's
that.
tough to not say it is, considering like Ilex and some of the other perspectives where like Hadrian is like, she is
even
other.
considering Karn
I'm-
Sagara is queerness inherently in a scary, like aggressive way, but like it's
but-
still queerness. Like,
Okay, again, like he's the scary
I
aggressive.
hang out in gay bars a lot. I've
Right.
met some scary aggressive queers. Karn Sagara definitely.
So again, like the scary aggressive queer thing aside, I do want to bring up Ilex again in this conversation because I do think that Ilex, to me at the very least, represents like a thing that Hadrian is afraid of but understands simultaneously, and then begins to, over the course of the novel, ingest it as like, no, Ilex is a person. Like I didn't get that at first, and then he's coming around to it the more that he like experiences it, and he's like, a homunculus, yes, but that does not mean that she's not a person, has a personality, etc. It's
for
interesting.
sure.
It's interesting. At the very least.
It's nice to see Hadrian's growth. I feel like, for me personally, seeing what I have seen of Hadrian, it's hard for me to tell where this goes.
And I do
So
want
it's
to say
hard for
it's
me to,
not
like-
sexuality that is transhumanism, more or less, but
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's just hard for me to kind of like see where the book goes because I can only read the two. What I will say is,
and change.
yeah, I'll say that there's even some level of within the sense whenever you're to me queerness. It's like a very broad statement. So
Extremely
transhumanism
broad.
falls within it. Sexuality falls within it. I would say that whatever the fuck happens with Karn Sagara becoming two bodies of different genders at the end of this certainly falls within some level of queerness.
Yeah,
And
1000%.
that's so interesting to me. That's such an interesting concept. And I love how Rockio plays that, actually.
Oh, Karns live
validating the
multiple
two different
lifetimes.
Karns who are both Karn, but they're different Karns based on the bodies they live in, but they're still Karn. Karn the person isn't Karn the body, but Karn the body influences Karn the person, is very much so just something that like is an interesting concept that I would love to see explored more, and I hope we do. Maybe
1000%.
yeah.
Well, the bodies appear to work biologically in a sense that he's not just being put into
Yeah, it's not just like a
Welcome.
brain and a robot, but he's existing as a new person developed.
what's it called? Alter carbon? It's
Sleeve.
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 he's not being put into a sleeve. You're in a kid, and this kid's going to grow up and be like a person essentially.
So
He's still-
inherently, there's going to be like cognitive differences, but it's
Yeah.
not you that's different.
Mhm.
It's the way you're processing you that's different.
yes,
And
which is a crazy. I don't
which
even think.
fits into like what Brethren is, right? Like if the
Yeah.
human is the processing chip, then Karn is also using that. Karn is the data and the human is processing it, and Karn's putting himself into different data and being processed different.
And he's already done this several times, so now it's just like he's got all this data from being a man, woman,
and he's
in between,
became all
and
these
he's-
different people, so he's just existing as like the perfect asexual
Yeah.
like androgynous human that can be put into any situation and fucking thrive. And Karn Cigar is still my hero, but I stand by it. Favorite character.
Hell yeah, he's such a cool character. Which
as someone who has like a little slutty mullet with a blonde thing here, Karn Cigar.
You should twirl that into a Jedi braid for the record. Like, it's
really
long
should.
enough.
And I
Twirl
will.
a slutty
Almost
mullet.
there. Yeah. By October, for sure, you can get that Jedi
A
braid.
little blonde Jedi braid. Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah.
Well, talking about the Berserk influence, right? Like Griffith being an extremely gay and queer character, and Karn, like on the cover, you're just like, okay, this character is going to be either an effeminate male type character or a soft masculine character or a more feminine character.
Ooh,
I love that Karn shows
I
up.
didn't read that either way, but I love that you read that way.
Hold on, I actually do think on the cover he comes across that way, but whenever you read him, he comes across as a very like dominant masculine, but in a weird way where he is dominant masculine because he can embrace his femininity.
I was just gonna say, because he's choosing it. He's choosing it in that
he
skin,
can be dominant masculine. He can be
which makes
dominant
him
feminine. He
a
can be
fucking
submissive
threat.
masculine. He can be submissive feminine.
Yeah.
He can be all the things.
So
and he chooses
interesting.
where he is most specifically
Yeah, it makes him the
usable
ultimate
in the
threat.
moment for his own goals.
To me, that reads as reverent. That cover reads as reverent to the sword, but also presenting in such a way where it's like, I don't need to care about what you're doing. I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the sword. Given the
But there's
context
also,
of the scene.
I think there's an inherent softness.
No,
to Karn.
for
He's
sure.
super
for sure.
exposed.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be this like owner of this planet, this not really space pirate per se, but he is.
I would
has
say
this
if
black
I had
He's
to
market.
no
guess-
longer a pirate. He was for
If
a
I had
long
to
time.
guess, the
Yeah.
notes that were given were the most terrifying poet you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like whenever he
That's-
looks at it, there's a poet, like a poeticism to it. There's this
Very Shakespearean.
softness. There's like this inner thought. There's something that goes beyond the physicality, and you can tell that. I think a lot of, and this might be getting too into like human dynamics, but I think a lot of masculinity is fear of losing your physical ability. And Karn doesn't have that anymore because he can just go into a different one.
In so many ways, it's as though like Long John Silver, which is the character again from like Treasure Planet, was like the guy at the end of time that survived so long that he was like, man,
well, at the end of Treasure Island.
I'm thinking you're correct, but also Treasure Planet, because these are the same
Yeah, that
stories.
was a different name. He had 8 eyes on either side.
Well, but regardless, motherfucker. Although I do think Treasure Planet is.
They opened the
More
portals
poorly written.
between them. I actually think Treasure Planet's a perfect movie.
It's
and I
a
love it so
brilliant
much.
movie. It's just not a great Treasure Island adaptation.
No, it's bad at Treasure Island. It's so good.
It's mostly good at Treasure Island, but it does fail in some aspects. One of them is specifically in Long John Silver, and Long John Silver does such a good job of like portraying the same ideals where it's like, hey man, like I want to be rich, but like I realize at the end of my life that like being rich isn't what it's all about. And instead what like our Karn realizes, it's like wealth is life and longitude over time. How do I create longitude? And so he does this through the extension of like creatures, corpses, and beings, and everyone else, and the impacts that it can have in so many different contexts. And that's a horrifying ideal in a lot of different
I
contexts.
have to throw another spoiler warning, and I know I said we weren't going to talk about other series, but I think it's funny that if you look at a lot of series and you look at the most long-lived people, they're always the ones that care the most about money. Like that's the thing they came down to.
Yeah.
If you first law,
You don't have to. Yeah. But I mean. Yeah, right. It's always, there's always that context, right? And so I think that like there's something to Karn that transcends that other to me to a little bit, but obviously it is very other. They are innately other because they're like, they are everywhere. They are everything. And then when Karn dies, this Karn that has been alive for, we'll assume a couple thousand years at least, if not like maybe a prime Karn. I don't know. Tough to say.
Well, it's hard to say. Yeah.
Is being replaced.
I don't think we just saw a prime Karn die. I think we've seen an iteration of Karn die.
Sure.
That's my own.
Yeah. That's totally cool. He's lived a long enough life to earn many Karns that would agree and supplicate to his own ideals. But these new two Karns are interesting and difficult to parse because, again, there have never been two at once.
Yeah, that's wild. Two Karns.
And it doesn't.
What happens if the two Karns don't agree?
That's it, right?
Two Karn friends, and now I got one.
I can't help but think
anyway.
Yeah, okay.
It makes you wonder, though.
We're doing.
I did two girlfriends.
I'm ready to go.
Two girlfriends. Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah. Yellow robe with the steel underneath. For sure.
Dude, man. Yeah.
You know, I see Karn as someone who money's a resource, right? He's not like Snoke in Star Wars, who's like very much like, I am rotting, but I am also wealth, which obviously.
I mean, I feel like Snoke is almost just like a bad version of Karn, but
yeah,
Karn is not Snoke.
No, not even close. But Karn's also like, I don't want to call him simple, but when we meet him and we see the things that he likes,
feels like he's a Snoke, but he's not. Yeah.
No, he reminds me more of like not fully like the Collector in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, he kind of is though. Yeah. I would say he's adjacent to. Like
I think that's what he's implied to be at the beginning for sure.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite concepts in sci-fi, and it's also in fantasy too. But it's also very adjacent to transhumanism, which is, you know, it's also a very queer idea of like not inherently, but it can become that way if you have a character whose gender is not on the table, or rather, it's on all the tables.
Hey, queerness is broad, and inherently, it's going to seep its way into things. Outside of it,
he's more interested in like not necessarily experiences, but wanting to experience something new for the first time. That's like what he wants. I don't know if you guys watched Alien Earth.
Yeah, all of it, 100%.
I can't remember.
Not.
So good.
We'll talk about it.
The billionaire guy.
So
like,
oh yeah. What a perfect.
He's just like, I have all the money that I need. I don't need. It means nothing to me. I want something that no one else can experience. I want to be the one that experiences it for the first time. Karn has got a little bit of that in there, but it's also on a much broader scale where he's like, I've been alive since before you were born. I'm going to be alive long after you're born.
I mean, similarly, if we jump back to Jurassic Park, I feel like Karn is the, like, if you dial it up to 10,000 version of Dr. Hammond, right? Yeah. Like, he's spared no expense. No. And he's just down to try stuff and see what happens. He'll put robot parts on the Cielson, as we see in Demons of Ra, which is already out, right? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Cool. All right. Sick. Didn't necessarily happen in this book. We have talked about it already.
True. Nailed it.
And we don't know that Karn did that. I think there's just an assumption.
No, there also isn't. Actually, I think the book implies the opposite. I think the short story implies that there's an implication that it isn't Karn. But
yeah, the short story can imply all at once. Right now, I'm thinking Karn might be involved because he was dealing with the Cielson, and he was dealing with the humans, and now they got robot parts.
Okay. Nick,
did either of you feel when he transferred over to the kids that it wasn't like a full transfer in a sense that they were just like, oh, I'm now the Karn that was just over there? Because to me, it felt like a bit of a slow boot where it was like,
it's definitely slow boot.
It wasn't a full takeover, which made me think, oh, is there a breakdown here? Is there like in this transfer,
a loss,
energy?
Is there a loss
of something?
Yeah.
One thing I really wanted to bring up in that is because now we have two Karns. And granted, it could be that there is no Karn involved in Robot Cielson, but to me, I feel like the way how the story sets it up where we are, I have to feel like whether he explicitly did it or not, or they explicitly did or not, I guess, as Karn now exists, or has existed. I don't know Karn's gender in their soul.
So say we all.
Yep.
I feel like the most interesting way the story could go is the Karns not being on the same side. So having a Karn that sides with the Cielson and a Karn that sides with the humans is the most interesting way the story could go. I don't know what it does, but holy shit, that would be so fun.
The ultimate experience for them, at the very least. Like, you know, they're like, oh.
And maybe Karn just wants to experience what it's like to go up against Karn.
Right. That's an astute observation, or like, you know, prediction, I would think, or even just like a thought to have.
If I could play chess against myself, it'd be so sick because most
Right?
people are better at me than chess, so it'd be really fun to not just lose right away. But yeah, no, I do think that there is an aspect to Karn's character where if Karn could go against Karn, Karn would go against Karn. I think there's two different Karns that inherently disagree on their own views of the world inherently already. It would be very interesting to see two Karns against each other with humanity and Cielson and the universe and all of the other extras and all the other what are the aliens called? Oh, Xenos in the balance.
I called them Xenos. We'll call them Xenos. There's another term, but it's fine. It's cool. It's sick. Nick, to round this out, I do want to make sure that we're catching all these different ideas. There's a lot of queerness I do think that this novel captures that I don't think we've talked about yet. Do you think we missed anything? Do you want to mention?
There's so much. There could literally be like an episode that's just on the queerness.
Truly, I think so, but
yeah.
My big roundabout, like kind of way to put a bow on at least this conversation with it is that, you know, the Rocchio's approach to just queerness and even just like LGBTQ plus themes in this book is not super on the nose. It's not hitting you over the head. It introduces, it's almost like, I don't even want to say it because it's not 100% how I feel, but I feel like if I was a reader going into this who was not a queer person, who didn't understand queerness as a concept or a social construct or human sexual and sensuality, this book would actually help me understand it a little more because it presents it in a way that's like not necessarily a trick, but you have a character like Hadrian who's should by all rights be an ally with his upbringing, but he's not quite there yet. He's like that one semi-woke friend who's like, I have a gay best friend, so like I can say these things still, right? Like, not quite, man.
You can't actually say gay in the way that you're saying gay.
Yeah,
it's like that guy's like, hey man,
you're still saying it wrong.
Trans people really scare me, and I'm like, do you know any? You know?
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
Like, no, but I rolled the dice on 6 people, and maybe one of them is.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, well, maybe we should start with meeting.
Yeah,
1 or 2.
1,000%.
You know 5 people. Okay, so sorry. Yep, right.
And you know,
no, Switch is not trans. Switch is poor. There's a difference.
You know, Hadrian's introduced these concepts, which is the reader's introduced to them. If you're a reader going into it who's not used to these themes, it's a really great entry point to be like, oh yeah, that did make me feel differently, or how do I process that? This guy has lived multiple lives, has multiple genders, is very comfortable, and he doesn't seem to have a preference on which he prefers or they prefer.
So. Yeah.
And then can utilize them to his benefit, but also just for his own enjoyment. And then you as the reader seeing Hadrian's reaction to it, whom if you come in as a machismo, type of reader, we were like, oh, Hadrian isn't going to be attracted to this lady, and he's like, oh, actually he's a little confused
his one-eyed
himself.
soldier stood at attention. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he got really
definitely
Polinoed.
Yeah,
and so
full Polino,
Polinoed. Strong and hard. I think that was the words he used in the episode.
Strong, hard, and one-eyed, single-eyed, single-minded, perhaps. Yeah.
It's a really interesting way to go about it, coming from someone who I know, Chris Rocchio, is a straight presenting white man married to a woman with kids, like, and it is very much like an ally in his own way, but it's still probably kind of navigating his own feelings on it. And this book kind of explores it in a way that
it's worth just I love all the credit you're giving him. He is a more, I don't want to say he is a conservative, but he's a Catholic person innately. Yes. And that drives a lot of his ideology from here forward. And so like there is like a little bit of an interesting battle herein, but he also accepts all
I would say that reading this book does kind of remind me of some of, and I know I said we were going to talk about later series. There's it kind of reminds me, I think maybe better written, but maybe not actually better executed than some of the queerness in like later Sanderson stuff. Where it's like, I can tell that you're fighting against necessarily what you inherently feel as a person, but you're trying to explore it in a way that you're trying to understand and work through and like push forward.
let me be clear, Nick. I wasn't trying to like cut you off here.
No, you're good.
I was just saying like that he does have like a more Catholic base to him, and that's totally fine, totally acceptable. And to acknowledge that, I think, is important. But also, like the way that Catholicism has gone over time is in a different direction. To Josh's point, the way that like Mormonism has trended over time is an interesting thing to consider. But these are not things that like.
They don't define the author.
Yes, importantly, like you can be one thing. You cannot believe in some fundamental way. If this is truly the way that your heart feels, you can be like, hey, I don't believe that those people should love each other. And that's cool. But you can still write that shit. You can still write whatever the fuck you want. And like,
it doesn't come off as him exploring it either. It comes
Right.
off as like, this is the story being told and
Right.
Adrian's experiencing these things. It also doesn't villainize queerness.
It doesn't villainize, and
which
I think
I
that's
fully expected it to do. I was like, oh, Karin's the bad guy, so this is gonna be, he's gonna be like Baron Harkonnen. He's gonna be just like, oh, he's bad and gay, and he's gay because he's bad, or what have you. And instead, it's like not that at all. Actually, the Cielson still stay pretty much our main antagonist,
and Karin stays kind of an ally.
He's sort of like still neutral, waiting for the right moment, and I love that.
And when they switch genders, it's an interesting thing. Also, when like Volka steps in and is like, "Hey,
that's not like rejected with that," from Hadrian's point of view. It's just like,
right,
this is Karin now twice.
Right, but Volka does. I think it's Volka at the very least. Like, is like, are they going to be the same person now that they've switched genders? Could this be something that they've done intentionally over time to like either introduce interest in like other ideals, or could it be something intentionally to level them out? Who knows? Impossible to say, but it is interesting, and Karin remains that way.
It's such a queer concept as a character. The character itself is a queer concept, and I love it. I
agree.
It echoes in things like Memory Called Empire with the what's it called? The imago. It's like the
imago.
It's like the imago. Yeah, it's like what's in the back of their head that like connects other lives, and you can have multiple people in your body. Basically, you share the same body. Locked Tomb is all about body sharing. It's quite literally like the epicenter of the whole series.
Fundamental. Yeah,
it's huge. And this book, which I did not go into this thinking Chris Verrocchio is going to be exploring queer themes in it, or body sharing or gender swapping. And that's not like an uncommon thing in old sci-fi, but old sci-fi especially was very scared for obvious reasons to like explore in a way that's like right in your face, or like
I think 90% of authors from the 60s or earlier were just gay men who didn't know how to talk about it. But,
and so
Tolkien and Lewis could have just fucked if they didn't have Jesus. It's fine.
1,000%.
Well, I mean, Tolkien would have fucked Lewis, but Lewis would have been like, I'm not into this. I'm not into this.
But he was.
But he would have been down for it. Anyway, I don't. I'm not subscribing to that.
I'm not into this. Keep calling Mr. Thomas.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I've studied them deeply. And the races are great. Anyway, that said, Nick, I do want to round out with any other ideas or thoughts that you have before we go into like a semi-lightning-ish round thought.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Anything else that you want to hit on?
Like I said before, we really could spend a whole episode talking about, and this book especially is probably the most queer of all the Sunny Day books.
I would agree.
Yes, it does get a bit all gas, no brakes after this.
I would get like a lot queer, but it's fine.
Yeah, no, it stays at this tempo, right? It doesn't.
Let's get queerer. It
would be more interesting if it did. And also, if you want something that's queer, please go read The Unlocked Tomb by Tamsin Muir.
Yes.
If we just make sure Hadrian gets because we know how Hadrian feels about alcohol.
Yeah. It stays.
He has strong taste and he hates a lot of things. If he can just start ordering one gin and soda,
he's good to go.
Every single book, one per book, I would be like, all right, this is gay as hell. Let's go.
To Nick's point, it does stay queer. It's just that it doesn't get queerer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take it.
Which is like fair. I assume that would be the case with what I know about the author and what who the main character is. I was just so happy that early on, and this book is, I don't want to say it's widely considered everyone's favorite because that's just me being biased, but like people tend to like
generally.
I've heard a lot of people say this one, Demon in White, and
Kingdom of Death.
No, oh, maybe. Shit, I don't have them in front of me. I think it's the second to last one.
Disquiet Gods.
Disquiet Gods. I've heard a lot of people say Disquiet Gods. So this, Demon in White and Disquiet Gods are the ones I've heard the most. I have no context for that as an outside reader.
I just think that readers going into it can rejoice in the fact that we get multiple queer characters, multiple gay and lesbian characters, multiple LGBTQ characters,
multiple transhuman characters, also like
all across
perspectives, like Otavia,
good, bad, evil
is like
neutral.
Yeah, and you have like obviously as we're introduced to early in Demons of Aria, and we won't talk about this, but like Minos as the idea, right? Yeah. Like that's a whole separate thing.
It's so
cool. Interesting.
It really it takes the book that I already was enjoying and like, because I loved Karn right off the rip. I was like, oh, this character's going to be my favorite. This is like if this was any other video game, elusive man type character, like, yes, please. And then it like took it to the next level, being like, oh, I didn't expect that.
The coolest version of it. Oh, it's the elusive man, but it's also Doctor Who, but it's also sexy. That's crazy.
Yes, awesome. Yeah. Exactly. And the collector.
Yeah, and the collector.
all in one. That said, anything else that you wanted to bring up, Nick? Anything else that you wanted to chat about that you missed?
Just how fucking cool the parallel universe, alternate realities. Like this book with
Josh. You had some other things. You had some other ideas, topics.
Okay, so
we missed Brethren.
You mentioned that we didn't talk about Brethren. We did talk about Brethren a little bit, but that is the big
just a smidge.
The concept of Brethren as a character, Brethren as an existence, Brethren as what he does for the story, especially the Deep also existing in like this coexistence space with the Quiet. So like the Quiet, the Americanii, the Deeps, all these things existing in this extra space. And then you, Nick, were talking about like this parallel,
almost like an absolute force. Yeah,
that kind of fits within these concepts. And I'm gonna get it so wrong, and somebody's gonna get mad at me, and that's okay. Do y'all know the concept of quantum immortality? It's not really like a real concept. It's just like a fun,
loosely. Yeah,
I'm so aware of quantum physics that I'm very aware. You also brought this up to me off air that we did not record, or we did.
Yeah, this is not a real theory with any science. This is like a Reddit thing, you know?
Yeah, right. Also, I think that we already talked about this within that episode. So TLDR for Nick.
Yeah, the quickest thing is just like if you die in a reality, your consciousness immediately goes to the closest reality next to it.
Yeah.
Until every single person dies of old age and experiences people around them dying because they went to other realities. But like, your own consciousness will always continue on. So if you ever like gone to walk across the street and then you like stop because a car zooms by, but then your leg hurts, but nothing happened, it's because you did get hit by that car and die, and you're like in the next closest adjacent reality. And that's what this really makes me think of, is like quantum immortality that Hadrian's experiencing. Like he got beheaded, but then the closest version of him gets shunted over to this reality that the Quiet needs to exist in order to return to a reality. And it doesn't necessarily matter too much to them which one they return to, but it has to be within the ones that they can return to. So they have to keep this timeline as they have to shift and shunt adjacent to the one they can come back to.
You know, I don't want to intercede too much here, but this is the most that like anyone else has been put on the pressure from like the overall series of spoilers ever in the show in so many ways. And Nick did a great job not flinching once. So Nick, whatever you want to say, that's so good. That's so good.
So I know nothing. You know nothing. I'm reading the book.
You know nothing, but also I want to say Nick gave away nothing, which is incredible.
No, I felt like somebody who was right there with me.
We've done this for 310 episodes, but like fuck.
You fuck? Do you?
We fuck.
At least twice a week.
I assumed not.
The Quiet is such a cool concept, and I'm excited for you to go on your journey, Josh. I think it's yet another thing. This book is so jam-packed. Like, dude, the first book does not have this level of depth in terms of layers, right? And you're
the
like,
only thing that really fucking gripped me in the first book was the quiet, and it's still the thing that grips me the most and that I care the most about.
But in
the
this
second
book,
but holy shit,
Hadrian
I
gets his
forget they exist sometimes.
Whole ass head cut off, comes back, and you're like, I'm still trying to figure out the octopus android in the water. Like, what are you talking about? That there's other.
Do we have a Hadrian now that never got forcibly deep-throated by an Umad? Is that
likely
why he's more confident?
He's much more confident, happier.
He's never
Hadrian.
been deep-throated before. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
forcibly by an Umad specifically.
Yeah, right.
He's never gotten
no. He never. This is the least queer version of Hadrian.
Yeah, we have the straightest Hadrian. Right
the Giga Chad Hadrian.
Yeah, just Hadrian dies and then Hadrian comes back. Just one eyebrow always up. This Hadrian.
just Johnny Bravo Hadrian.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh my! Hey, pretty moment.
Yeah, we just thought we have Lux Maxer Hadrian.
Oh no!
We have clavicular Hadrian.
Oh no!
The worst Hadrian.
Yikes!
That's so. You know, what do you guys think about that? Right. So when they switch bodies, do you think that world is now sans Hadrian? Like, there's a reality
in the world
similar
of
to you,
Hadrian
Nick,
dying. I think that.
But yeah, Josh, your answer.
I think that Hadrian possibly did die here because here's the thing: Hadrian's arm was left over. So yes, perhaps Hadrian dissipated, but there was still evidence of a Hadrian that was here and a Hadrian that's now been brought over. And so maybe in this world there was a Hadrian that existed that hadn't quite been beheaded yet, that then shifted over, and maybe they just in that world found a Hadrian that was about to be beheaded that then disappeared, and they don't know. And they live a world without Hadrian, but
which is like 4D mind bendy. You're like, that's a whole other book series. Like if you really wanted to,
different Hadrian, you could just write. Okay, I also have a prediction that I meant to make earlier, and this is a joke prediction, but I'm willing to drink for it.
Okay, say
I want to predict
to take it down. Hang on. Ready.
At some point before the series ends. And this goes all the way through to the end of Shadows Upon Time.
Yep.
I think that we will get a Doctor Strange Dormammu style scene where Hadrian keeps dying and getting sent back until he can figure his way out of a situation. And we don't know how many Hadrians we've had or how many deaths he's had by the end of that.
Love that film.
Okay. How many times he's died sick? I did that as well as I could. We'll figure that out.
Basically, I just think we're going to get a Hadrian keeps dying and coming back, and we don't necessarily have like a solid answer of how many Hadrians we've had or not.
I did see earlier Nick poking around your predictions, which was very fun to me, that he was looking at them and kind of peeking.
Saltis coming back for sure. Most important character, saves it at the end.
Moment. Yeah. I saw the cursor moving around a couple hours ago.
I'm sure if I went back and I looked at my predictions, I would disagree with half of them, but I make them in the moment.
Predictions
like
that, though.
They're bets in the moment, though. That's the idea, right? Like they're ideas that you have in the second that you have them.
Anything can happen when you're making predictions, and then you get to the last books.
I mean, I predicted that Switch was going to betray Hadrian. Like, spoiler. If you haven't read Red Rising yet, don't read this shit. Don't listen to it. Don't think about it. Don't love me. Don't hate me. I had a prediction that Switch was going to pull a Roke, and instead Hadrian did. So, I should have known. The poet, you could never trust him.
As someone who loves the poet, I get it. That said, Nick, anything else you want to bring up from the Howling Dark here?
Other than just it's a fucking awesome book. Highly recommend it. It's so strangely built in terms of like its outward structure from a bird's eye view. From a craft standpoint, it like shouldn't work. Very Empire Strikes Back in a sense that like it does not follow your typical. It has beginning, middle, end, but it's not like the flow is just very different. There's a very different structure for a second, but in brave for him to be like, you know what, I'm gonna fuck around and just do something weird in the second book, and we're gonna have all kind of weird concepts, and the structure's gonna be kind of weird, and you might get bored or thrown off, but if you hang on tight, like this book will kind of echo throughout the rest of the series, which is pretty cool.
Almost like this book will leave some shadows upon time.
It's potential,
perhaps,
or an entire Kingdom of Death.
Yeah.
To put one final thing out there, are there any interesting, and from your perspective, like castings you've like mentally manifested, or is there anyone that you can like call out specifically? You don't have to call out everyone, but is there one character that you think works best? I have one for this novel that I don't think a lot of people have, for the man in yellow himself, Karn Sagara. But
I did cast Karn Sagar at one point.
Who's your Karn?
So desperately to remember the name of the actor. Go do yours real quick, and I'm gonna see if I can pull up the movie that they're in.
I'm a weirdo, and I want to make this very clear. What I want is I want someone who doesn't look like the man, but I want Gary Oldman's voice to come out of him. I want Gary Oldman's voice.
That's interesting.
I want Gary Oldman's voice to come out of an Asian man, and I want it to come out of like every other character up until the point in which he's reborn, and then we have a character of whom approximates a young Gary Oldman voice. But I do want, in my head, Karn Sagara is Gary Oldman in an Asian body. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like there are so many other people that could portray that, but I do just fundamentally want that like gruff adjacent voice. I imagine, I don't know.
I have
Christopher Nolan, Gary Oldman.
I know what I want, which is a way
perfect.
different approach.
Mads is so good. Hannibal Mads.
Oh my God, Mads.
That's how I've always
brilliant.
seen him.
Yeah,
but like in the form in this book.
Yes, correct. He's exactly. Like
in the form in this book.
It's the projection.
It's yes.
Mads Mikkelsen is probably the perfect choice. I totally see what you're going for, Cross, and I fucking love it. I would probably like it more. I think Jason Isaacs is my pick.
I'll take Isaacs.
Yeah, that's
I'll take Isaacs. Yeah.
That's a really good
I need those piercing blue eyes and that upsetting face, you know?
He's also like
face.
he's such a good like visually interesting person. And so seeing him die, that could be fun. I like that. I
think Jason Isaacs could be that kind of actor that sets up the mannerisms of the character to where everybody that plays this character afterwards has mannerisms to play off of.
I know that so few people played the Midnight Suns video game, so I don't feel like it's bad to spoil this at this point, but Jason Isaacs is the voice actor for Mephisto in that series. And so he plays,
that's so good. Jason Isaacs as Mephisto's
fucking perfect. He's so brilliant for the entirety of that game. And it's so good. And
he's
as you're saying that, I'm like, actually, you're right. He is the right cast.
He's my top choice for
actual Mephisto. Sick. What
if we ever do a first law Archlector Salt?
Yeah,
heavily.
Sure,
perfect.
For sure.
And that's actually really spot on.
Yeah, I just want to put Jason Isaacs and
as much as possible.
But I want to put Jason Isaacs and oh my God, why am I forgetting his name?
Jason Isaacs Mephisto is perfect enough for me to go like, yeah, no, he should actually play Karn. I said Gary Oldman. That's a great idea, but like Isaacs is the right man. He's the right man for the job.
I can't imagine casting Hadrian. He's the one I had the most, and I love fan casting.
It's like I cannot figure it out.
It's my favorite things to do. When I'm at Magica, I actually made a document, a PDF of my casting for Magica, just I was having fun with it. And Hadrian, I cannot place.
So I want to put Jason Isaacs and Sam Rockwell in as many things as possible, and I think that's why I love White Lotus season 3 so much.
I love Sam Rockwell.
But Sam. I'm going to say the wildest thing anyone's ever heard, and it's Sam Rockwell is Paulino, because he could play old and young Paulino based on the one chapter.
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
And Hadrian is just 5'6", 90s Rob Lowe, which I know Rob Lowe was 6'3" in the 90s, but if we could take Rob Lowe in the 90s, make him 5'6", and then have him play Hadrian, that'd be perfect.
Well, Nick, I'm not looking for other castings, but I do want to ask: do you have a casting for Ilex or Atavia? Maybe. like a weird pull, or Volca maybe.
Volca, I've gone back and forth with, and Rakio has gone on record saying the name of the actress, and I cannot remember her name, but I know she's from, I think she's from Skyfall. She's one of the, or Spectre, one of the James Bond movies. That actress is who he like actually sent the artist, like her, to like use as reference. But let me see if I don't know if I still have there's an actor who I could see as either one of those characters. They are a trans actor, and I love them so much. They actually who I casted for a pie in Magica, and I'm like drawing a blank on their name right now. It's kind of driving me nuts.
See, I'd take, like, if I'm talking about the couple of people, I think a brilliant Ilex would be ContraPoints. I think that would be a brilliant, perfect ContraPoints. Have you never seen a ContraPoints video? She also plays the pirate in the House of the Dragon season at the very end. She plays the pirate.
Oh, yeah.
The same person. And I think that like they have the same vibe casually that Ilex needs or could have, that I think would totally work. I'm so in.
All right. I'm going to have
as a casual cast.
I'm going to have a wild casting question. And I don't expect anyone to put too much thought into this. I just want rapid fire, and I want the worst answers. But I want to give Nick the opportunity to look up.
India Moore is the actor.
India Moore. Okay. I don't know.
All right.
And it's like INDYA.
Oh.
Everybody can just do one or two characters.
Also my pie.
I see it. Yeah.
One or two characters, fan cast, but they can't be actors. They have to be influencers? Or TikTok stars.
Oh, God, I don't know any.
That's fine. You just gotta pick the worst. If you whatever you can pull. If you pull like Tom from MySpace, that's fine.
Karen Cigar is just moist critical.
There you go. All right, Karen Cigar is moist critical. Cross. Who do you got? You can't be Karen Cigar that's already casted.
I'm thinking Josh from Mythical Kitchen, and I'm thinking that he is Switch.
That's great.
The Josh from Josh Shear, I think, is mythical. Is Switch. Yeah,
very good. I'm just gonna put Shannon on as lean beef patty, and we can move on. So,
sick. All right, cool. So good. Okay, so I love that we did this to end out the show. That said, I love this book. Big fan. This is one of the books that I adore the most in my life. It's in my top 25 ever, which is crazy because there's another Rakio book, and I restrict the authors that can be available twice. And
how many do you have that have two?
Three of two.
Is it
four?
Rakio?
Four of two.
Is it Rakio, Baker? It's got to be Abercrombie has two.
Abercrombie has two. Rakio is two.
And Baker has two.
Barker does not have two.
Or Barker.
Sanderson?
Barker does not have two.
No,
Sanderson
maybe Brown. Maybe Brown.
Brown has two.
Nice.
So that's three. That's three. You're missing the fourth, which is
so
Stephen King.
Of course,
which is a natural. King is three. He's the bastard, but
because he's the king.
Yeah, unfortunately,
the boobs bounced boobily for him.
They breasted boobily, and it was so sick, and I loved that. That said,
no, he's the guy. He writes all the books. He writes all the books that everybody else learned how to write books by reading. Makes
so
sense,
true.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, "Oh, the great American author is like John Steinbeck," and I'm like, I mostly agree, but also let's consider the fact that like most contemporary ideas that have happened in the last 70 years are based on one fucking man, and that's Stephen fucking King.
No one
since the 60s has touched his prominence.
And I'm so excited to jump into more King. From the King I've read, I will say that every critique of King that people have in the modern day is accurate. And that doesn't take away the fact that he fucking wrote the book on writing modern books.
Absolutely. And that is so important, so core.
Read more Barker too.
Yeah, I know. I got to read more Barker.
Oh my God. Barker again. Like Barker is like the addendum to King. And he said in such, as I mentioned in several episodes talking about Clive Barker, he mentioned that Clive Barker is the future of horror. When he read him back in the early 80s, he was like, this man is going to be the future of everything that I ever do. And he wasn't wrong. Clive Barker just wasn't quite as prolific as King was.
Yeah.
And that's the only difference. But instead, what Clive gave us is a depth that few understand. So that said, we can pin this episode on the idea of like, hey, read widely, read into genres that you don't think about, read into some interesting things that are different. You can find them in our podcast and other podcasts and everything else. That said, Nick, you've got great opinions, and I think that people should be able to find you where they like you. You are one of the most verbose Substack writers that I subscribe to. Where can they find you?
I think he just called you long-winded.
No, verbose. He's not long-winded. He is grammatically structured in a way that is. Goodness. I think that I'm severe, and oh my god, sometimes I'm like, this man writes more complex sentences than I can dream.
Listen,
without $5 words. Yeah.
So, Lethe Bound Wolf, or the Lethe Bound Wolf on Instagram, or Lethe Bound Wolf on
for the
Substack.
Folks?
Yeah. Then Lethe Bound, LETHEBOUND, and then Wolf, WOLF. So the Lethe Bound Wolf, as in like the River Lethe in the underworld. I think it's actually pronounced Lethe, but it's
Lethe.
The Lethe Bound Wolf it's like a tongue twister. So you can find me Lethe Bound Wolf. It does
sound better, but that's fine.
It does, right? On Instagram or Substack. Primarily lately been trying to do more Substack stuff because it allows me the opportunity to just word vomit onto the page and see what comes up. And
and the Discord community. What's your Discord community?
Yeah. Yes, the Discord community was birthed from my YouTube channel, which is Wicked Good Books. I don't do YouTube anymore. Sadly, retired from like 2022 when I stopped doing them. But the Discord community is still up and running, and it's open. It's private, but it's open to anyone who wants to join, shows interest. They get an invite from me or one of the admins. It's a very big bookish community, but we're also tabletop gamers, D&D enthusiasts, big film buffs, big anime nerds.
Our type of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rapid fire. Favorite D&D monster. Go.
Catalepus.
Fuck. Standard vampire. Like, that's so crazy to say, but like the vampire is
fuck you, because maybe the same. But
right.
I had a Catalepus farmer character.
Can be considered a monster.
Flump is good.
Yeah, Flump is good.
Maybe like a pixie. But yeah, if I had to pick,
but I do use specifically like vampires, and then I change their stats.
Absolutely, as you do, because it's so good. You want that charisma stat. You want like a little bit of spellcaster, but then you don't know what you want. And man, you
don't want running water. I'll tell you that much,
buddy. I've been running a whole ass campaign based on a brethren ass prospect, as I mentioned before, and
brethren can never be a vampire. It's too much running water.
If they don't finish it, I'm gonna employ other people to fucking finish the story for me and with me, because dear God, I'm having such a good time.
Sorry, back to Nick. I did a bad thing.
So sorry. Yep, Nick,
you're totally fine.
We love you dearly. Instagram, where can they check you out? Lethe Bound Wolf.
Yep. Or the Unlocked Tomb. Just the Unlocked Tomb.
Yes.
That's our podcast page. And so I co-run it with Sierra, who's one of the co-hosts. But Emily and Amy also post on there as well. So either the Lethe Bound Wolf on Instagram or the Unlocked Tomb, where you can find all the updates on our Tomb Talks episodes, where we interview authors and other creatives. Chris is one of the authors we've interviewed on there. We've done Brahm, which was a lot of fun. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, check it out. We've got new episodes roughly every other month we try to do, but lately it's been a little rough, but
cool.
But thank you for having me. I've been so excited to hang out with you guys for a long time now. It's been a long time in the making, so I appreciate you inviting me on here.
And we appreciate you rolling with the punches, especially my busy schedule through the move. It was so fun to have you here. This was rad. I wish we did it all of the 3 times we had originally planned.
This
we could have filled. Okay, I think we could have filled every single session we had planned.
Technically speaking, we could have made it work one way or another, but in the end, it was like, hey, let's just do what we have. So thank you again, of course, Nick, for coming here with us. We're so grateful again. And I've been so thankful for a lot of your like support, friendship, and everything else over the course of our time being a show. It was a big deal to us early on. There were few people that were credible that recognized us when we like showed up on Twitter with a couple of hot takes and like got like a following based on that initially. So appreciate you for striking it out with us in a big way inside of the community.
Back at you, man.
Yeah. It means a lot, meant a lot, and it will always mean a lot. It's unfortunate that it's taken us so long to get here, but it will not take us so long to get to the future shows. I'm very excited for what you're writing. I'm very excited for what you have to show going forward. I feel very fortunate to be a part of your writers group as well, in which I feel held accountable to like write consistently. And Josh, as a fellow writer of whom is not held accountable, maybe we got to do the little group chats and little Discord things.
I should probably get up in there. I've been sucking at writing recently. But,
accountability is huge, and when you have other friends hopping in and buzzing, it's like,
I got fun new ideas. It's just the hardest part about being a writer is writing, for sure.
So say we all. So say we all. That said, next week should be, provided everything goes right, Queen Amid Ashes with Erin airs of Howler Pod. It should be a great time. Very excited, of course, to have Erin back. That said, if everything doesn't go right, considering timing, schedules, other things, we will begin Demon in White with Behold a Pale Horse through the Devil's Cohort. And if everything really goes super fucking wrong, and I'm just going to put this out there, if we need the time, it's a holiday weekend. I mean, we did an incredible episode with the Sons of Ares podcast that I will just put out a little 5-minute spoiler and just be like,
put it in there.
Fucking go listen to them, because that was a great fucking episode that we did. They generally record.
We kind of killed it. Yeah,
we kind of killed it. They generally record hour-long episodes, like 30, 40 minute to 50 minute episodes, and they're like, we're at 2 hours, and Josh went, I thought this was only going to be an hour because you guys are better at timing than we are. and not to spoil how the episode ends, but also that was a fucking sick ass episode. So
awesome.
Yeah, I loved that episode. I think we really dove into some good stuff.
We truly demolished it. Josh simultaneously was like, I have to be an adult now, so, which is very reasonable.
Yeah, that never happens.
Yeah, right. It was a rare take. That said, Queen Amid Ashes, beginning Demon in White, or this.
If I can talk about that episode one more time, I think I had one of my favorite jokes based off of Crossland as a person I've ever had, which wasn't even a joke.
You just kept reiterating. Yeah, you hit me like 4 times. Yeah.
Well, that is one thing we did, but I just let you talk for like a while and then said, and anyways, and that's the most laughs I've ever gotten from anybody ever. It wasn't from Cross, it was from everybody else involved, but the longer you went and the longer I waited, the funnier it got in my head, and it paid off. You're right. So anyways, we got this whole thing. We're going to be talking about books. That's what this podcast is. We talk about books on here.
Thank you to our new patrons, Noah
and Kyle. Beyond that, if you'd like to support what we do here, check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/wordsandwhiskey. We've got a bunch of stuff over there. The important thing is that my creation, is it real? It's my creation? I do not know. Oh, no hesitation. Is it real? Just flesh and blood. Weird science. Weird science.
I fucking knew it was going to come back. That said,
we've got all kinds of weird science raring to go over there for you.
Oh no!
Just leave us a review.
Oh no! That said, you can also leave us a review on whatever platform you'd prefer. Of course, it makes a big difference for us. I would also like to mention that we do have some bonus content coming out on Patreon, including, like, obviously Nick and I talked for like 20 minutes before the conversation with Josh as this episode happened. But then in addition, I have a full bonus episode that we also recorded Josh missed because I was so early with the dudes from Sons of Ares. That is exclusive.
Was there a whole other
episode? There's
crazy.
a whole like 20 minutes.
I was on time for that one. That's crazy.
No, it was not on you. It's just because I was so early and they were available. So you were not late. It was just because I was early. We did a little Devil's Cut warm up.
Feels like they sent across something that said, "Hey, 6 o'clock," and they sent me something that said, "Hey, 6:30." Feels a lot like I was disinvited.
No. I just was there to bandage in case you were late, and they were like, "Well, let's record." I said, "Well, let's record something since we're sitting here," and that was it. That was the deal.
All mad whenever I was literally an hour late.
No, it's all good. It's all good. With that, dear listener, there are endings, and this is one.
Cool.
Rad.
Thank you so much.
Dope.
Let's retake that just because I think it would be so fun, and I do want to
do it. And we just do it without actually having it there.
You know what I'm going to do, Nick, for you is like I love the idea of like thank you so much. I'm going to like tie that in right at the end, but I'd love cool, rad, dope. The three of us. So
I'll say dope.
You get dope.
Yeah.
Dope. Yeah. He's got dope. Cool.
Rad.
Dope.